fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God!
big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Welcome back to SimSpeed TV here on a Thursday night for the continuation of the simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series, season number 6 of the season. New here on SimSpeed TV, getting itself underway with the first of the GT3 only sprint rounds here tonight. My name is Daniel Yeaman, with Jay Kennedy alongside me in the commentary box, doubling up on production for good measure. Jay, good to be here again, and we're back to Mount Panorama Circuit. It's not been long since we've covered Bathurst, at least, but a place that obviously holds a special place in many Australian drivers' hearts here.
100%. It should be a track that not too many drivers need huge amounts of practice at because they know the track, but in the same breath, it's a place that you need plenty of practice at because it is such a difficult circuit. It's going to sort the men out from the boys in this one. Yeah, very, very tough track, and it should provide some very, very entertaining racing in both Pass 2 and when we get into the Pro and Am divisions later on. But Pass 2, 25-minute race with a pit stop around this track, going to be very, very interesting.
Indeed, it's quite a fascinating restriction that we'll see here. We'll talk about it in a little bit because we'll have a look here at the track map first, Jay, but very much doesn't need much of an introduction here. The Mount Panorama Circuit very much plays lineage to the original design, apart from the addition of the chase in relatively recent history, but otherwise, well, it's pretty hard to change a track layout when it goes up and down a mountain like this, and plenty of action zones, of course. Basically turn 1, turn 2, turns 3 and 4 up to the cutting, they'll all be plenty busy, and then we should hopefully see some sensible single file running across the top from the cutting across to even past the dipper down towards Forest Elbow, and then the long run back down the mountain, the Conrod Straight, and a chance to get a pass done at the chase or Murray's Corner, should you choose. We'll take a quick look here at the championship standings, as again, starting with the Pass 2 division tonight, means that we've got these guys out on track here very soon. But Chad Lewis, after a perfect pair of races last week in the Wildcard round at Le Mans for Pass 2, takes the championship lead with 320 points. Not too far ahead, though, of second place. Brady Buchanan holding down that spot there with 296. So he's certainly keeping him honest there in this championship for the start of the season. And then Chester Lamb there running out our top 3, but a little further back there, 260 points, putting him at a 60-point deficit to our Pass 2 leader. And then Matt Andrews and Hilton Booth running out our top 5, fairly close there. Matt Andrews for P3, but 4th will have to do for him for the time being. Hilton Booth in a little bit on his own, but he's got Aaron Maguire, only 6 points back in P6 there. So again, competition sort of coming in 1s and 2s here, which is good to see. And then a bit of a gap back to 7, 8, 9 and 10 as they all are under 200 points. But nevertheless, those guys are all there. Jesse White-Carey just ahead of Hendrik Kruzinga, and Troy Mortensen just ahead of GT Williams. Plenty of opportunity for those pairings there to switch places over the course of this evening here, Jay.
Yeah, but the thing with that is we don't know how much of a form guide it actually is because different machinery at a really, really different track. Of course, at Le Mans, very, very different polar opposite track to Bathurst. So very, very interesting to see how it translates across. But in saying that, if you've got pace in one car, you often have good pace in others. So we'll see how much it does translate. But at the moment, Matt Andrews is the man on the top of the timing sheet. This is Jason Muscat right in the draft of Hendrik Kruzinga, trying to get that pole position. Andrews has only got it by 0.07 of a second, and that might be enough of a distraction to ruin this lap from Muscat.
We'll see here now. He should have one final chance as he comes down to the final corner here with a 45 seconds thereabouts on the clock as he comes to start a lap, but no, chooses to pull over and complete his qualifying run there. That final lap was a 2:04, or didn't even count, pardon me. So definitely not the way he wanted that one to end as we have a look back at the next driver, Troy Mortensen in the number 83 there. Mortensen currently sitting back in 17th place, so looking to improve here on a fairly slow lap. He does indeed improve, but a 208.9. No, pardon me, sorry, that was not an improvement. He's actually sitting on a 207.7 there, Jay. So he's got one last chance. I think he is taking it now as he makes the climb up the hill. Meanwhile, we look back to Brady Buchanan in the number 16 there, currently 4th place, was on a 204.7. 204.87 will not improve, but he did get across the line there, so possibly one final run for him. And then John Nikolaev, currently 8th place in his Ferrari, 205.7, his best previous.
Oh, nice.
Improves to a 205.39, but unfortunately no positions gained there. He's 700ths off of the next car up the road. As we look now to one of the remaining drivers out on track, Ben Pollock in the 86. He's looking to try and improve on 18th place here with a 208.5 as he makes his way down through Forest Elbow. Oh, out to the wall there, Joe, but keeps it off it just, thankfully. And just looking at his times here, I'm not seeing any green sectors for personal best yet, though, unfortunately.
He will be the first driver to finish a lap under the checkered flag conditions, though, so we'll stay with this. Only, I think, 6 or 7 drivers out on track that can improve on this last run. Not many drivers have actually been able to get across the line and continue on here in Pass 2. Thanks to simrigs.com. It's going to be a very, very entertaining season, though, as we go along Pass 2 and also our Pro and Am divisions. Of course, GT3 machinery fairly evenly matched, but drivers can chop and change throughout the season. I'll tell you what, that's a decent improvement considering there weren't many personal best sectors, but doesn't gain any positions.
Yes, indeed. Well, 207.85 for Pollock there across the line is an improvement for him. On time at least, but unfortunately not an improvement on position. So we look now to the car that's sitting ahead of him on qualifying time, the 83 of Troy Mortensen. We need to improve on a 207.7, at least we thought so, but indeed opts to bring that car down pit lane. So it's Brady Buchanan, the last of the front runners out on track. There's a couple more drivers still there, but here comes Buchanan. Can he improve on a 204.7? Looks like he's had one green sector this lap, but I'm not sure that'll be enough as he comes around Murray's corner here. Can he get that car across the line? But a 205.3 is going to be an improvement for him. Directly behind is the 488 of Hilton Booth. 207.17 is just behind his personal best. So unfortunately, that won't do. Peter Sharp comes across the line to set a time. Unfortunately, his car looking a little bit rough and ready. So 212.0 is unfortunately all he can put on the board. He was followed across the line by one of our McLarens in the four-handed Joshua Lawrence, but no time set there for the number 10. So that will be all the times, I believe, across the line. So we can now go to the grid here. So Matt Andrews holds on to that pole position in his number 2 BMW GT3 tonight. Head of Jason Muscat there to round out our front row. So a BMW versus Ferrari front line. Chad Lewis, our wildcard winner, starts off his GT3 campaign here pretty solidly in 3rd place. Also in the Mercedes AMG, we'll see tonight. He's starting alongside Brady Buchanan there in 4th place. Owen Coleman up into 5th place with Stuart Brown alongside him for an all-Ferrari row number 3 there. Along with John Nikolaev and Jamie Blackman following it up with another pair of Ferraris there for 7th and 8th on the grid here tonight. Simon Frost, the next of our Mercedes in the grid there, starting at a 9th place with Hendrik Krasinga in 10th. And it's Mark Foster and Reese Ashmore to round out our first 6 rows. BMW leads Ferrari there, Jay.
Yeah, then from there we've got David Leslie and GT Williams on row number 7. Row 8 will be Hilton Booth along with Corey Brand, Troy Mortensen and Ben Pollock on the 9th row. Rounding out the top 20 will be Paul Longworth and Greg Holmes. We've got Aaron Mathers and Jeffrey Wang. And then Peter Sharp, as we saw, was the last of the drivers to put in a qualifying time. Marcus Watson will start from 24th position. As we continue on, I'll let you take the rest, Dan.
All right, then. Well, Jack Wittes currently displaying on screen, but he actually isn't part of the past 2 season. And as we saw last week, is one of our pro class drivers, so we'll see him on later tonight. But Joshua Lawrence will be starting out of 25th place. Should be starting alongside Jesse White-Carrick there. So McLaren with Audi alongside on row number 13 there. Then it'll be Anthony Connors with Matt Hardigan alongside him for row number 14. And then Aaron Maguire and Simon Dwyer, our last 2 drivers to round out the grid tonight. And that's 30 cars total we should see here for Pass 2. Plenty of cars in the mix, but the Ferrari looking fairly dominant amongst the driver's choice here tonight. Looking at the manufacturers on the grid and having a quick count of things. I'm seeing at least 16, yes, 16 Ferraris here in Pass 2, Jay. So definitely the popular choice, in fact, having a majority of the field right there and then. So interesting to see there, I think. We'll see how things play out in a moment's time, I think.
You're going to be exciting to see how this does play out. As you said, decent mix of cars, but yeah, Ferrari seems to be the dominant one as the preferred manufacturer as the pace car starts to pull away and we get ready for our first GT3 race of the season. Here we go.
All right, the cars are rolling here into the chase behind the iRacing pace car, as is the short rolling start format available to us. Most of these drivers here hopefully will have all of their class decals. I'll be curious to see here. Thanks to all the series sponsors that have been able to make AusPASS possible. The addition of Simriks.com for this season. Certainly great coming on as the title sponsor, but we'll get a chance to thank them all later as the safety car pulls off the track. We're now in the hands of Matt Andrews there on your right of screen. Sorry, we come around the final corner, waiting on the iRacing green, I believe, and there we go. Green flag in the air for Oz Pro-Am Sim Series Pass 2. It's Matt Andrews leading away from the front of the field. Jason Muscat's got to actually keep his eyes on Chad Lewis behind as we come into the held corner for the first time. Plenty of two-wide action. That's Marcus Watson up the middle there in his McLaren. Have they got through held corner safely? The answer is yes. That is good to see, but plenty of action already as that. Pardon me. Now, Marcus Watson is the 207 tonight, in that McLaren, and he is absolutely on the charge here. As we see side by side, Hendrik Razinga trying to go up the inside of Simon Frost and his Mercedes, but no dice there. Single file through Griffin's Bend for the first time. Oh, no trouble though at Griffin's. And it's caused a bit of a traffic jam. Oh, the racing line is blocked. Car spins on the outside for good measure. Oh, dear me, that has not gone well. And, oh boy, cars in the fence. That'll be Anthony Connors. No, sorry, it's going to be... it was Paul Longworth, I think. Oh, yes, it was Paul Longworth in the number 21 Ferrari, but he's towed the car back to pits. Track clears up, but that's not what you want, and drivers caught up in that incident there. They are now struggling to get their cars back to the pits here, Jay, but to the front of the field, here's our leading pack as we look here at Chad Lewis versus our Mercedes cars in this race. Currently holding on to his third place grid start as they make his way down through Forest Elbow for the first time in the run on the Conrad Straight. What have these guys got for us here?
Very, very tight. That first spin was from Ben Pollock as well. Ben Pollock had that first spin, and then the secondary spin was from Paul Longworth. As you said, he'd towed his car back to the pits. It looks like Anthony Connors has also had an issue across the top of the mountain, and his car is too damaged to continue. Front two starting to break away a little bit, and then Chad Lewis and Brady Buchanan in the secondary group. But the top 7 has sort of splintered away as well. Then obviously there's a huge splintering pack as well after that incident early on, but for a Bathurst race with 30-odd cars, relatively clean other than that one major incident.
That indeed, as the cars make their way across the line here to complete lap number 1. 25 minutes was on the clock at the start of it all, but replay Jay to see lap 1 again. Oh no, Marcus Watson with the dive bomb on the inside there of Griffin Bend, and just causes chaos in the apex. Outside of the corner for good measure, you see several drivers stuck waiting for the guys there to get back up and get going again. But I'd like to see race control possibly hand down a decision there. I think that would be a relatively slam dunk option, given that coming from the back of the field, not really wise to absolutely throw it in there. As we see more cars into the pits, Greg Holmes, Jesse White-Carrick, along with Aaron McGuire, and both Paul Longworth and Anthony Connors, I believe, still towing their cars back to the pits. So a couple of early pit stops here, but I would suspect we'll have to see them down the pits again, Jay, given the fuel tank restrictions tonight are incredibly tight. It's a 36% fuel tank for all of these cars this evening, so the actual fuel litrage number, depending on the car you're in tonight, anywhere between 39.5 litres and 46, almost 47 litres tonight, as do have cars here with variable tank sizes, such as the joy of AusPASS, GT driving in general here, as that's Chad Lewis finding the fence pretty substantially there on the exit of Forest Elbow. That's not going to help his car in a straight line, and, well, if he's lucky, it's just a straight line. If he's unlucky, it's a straight line and cornering deficit he's just picked up. I'm going to have to limp around with until the pit stops here.
Talking about that fuel tank restriction as well, we usually go off a full tank of fuel lasts you an hour in GT3 racing, so 38% means that you're going to get around about 22 minutes to a tank, and this race is 25 minutes plus a lap, so approximately 12 laps. I think there is a bit of damage to that car.
Yeah, that did not look healthy on the way into the corner, but our championship leader here in Pass 2 has just had an absolute slide into the grass there, and always serves up trouble there at Murray's. You pinch the grass like that, and you can say goodbye to car control and our positions there on track. So now have a look here at a couple of cars riding in the mid-pack. Reece Ashmore there in that all-white number 7 Ferrari 488, trying to stay on the back of Marcus Watson in the 207 McLaren. And still waiting to see if we hear anything from race control. Just have a look here at the virtual racing score replay on board with Chad Lewis. You see he just drifts over towards the grass, and then I think, yep, just
a tiny little bit of right hand down, isn't there? Just a little bit.
Is just enough, yes, I think, to put you off and make you have to make adjustments, but unfortunately we weren't seeing that tonight. So that's down from 3rd to 9th for Chad Lewis as he'll press on here. Now I wonder for some of these guys what their play will be. Look now up to the top 2. Jason Muscat happily looking to be riding in behind Matt Andrews as they make their way down the mountain here on their 3rd lap of the race. Now, interesting will be here is, so these cars, again, same percentage of their fuel tank capacity, but vastly different actual tank sizes available here. So a good
and
contrast,
flow rates too. Flow rates are different too in the pit stop.
Indeed, it's a good contrast here. The BMW is one of the cars which, along with the majority of the GT3 cars here on iRacing, have a 120-litre tank if you've got 100% available. But with the restriction tonight, that BMW is capped at 43 litres, whereas the Ferrari has the smallest tank of all the GT3 cars at 110 when fully filled. So on the 36% restriction, it's down at 39.5 litres tonight. But that's made up by the fact the Ferrari doesn't burn as much fuel per lap, and also the fact that, indeed, once it comes to a pit stop, the Ferrari won't have to, won't fill up as fast to compensate for that different size in fuel tank. So it's only a couple of litres here and there, but it will make all the difference. And you see here now, speaking of Ferraris, a couple of drivers that I think that was looking a little bit dicey and issues out on track there. So the 555 is David Leslie, currently running in 15th place and down a couple of spots from where he started this one, but they come across the line here. They're going to pick up a spot thanks to Marcus Watson coming down the pit lane. Nothing from race control, so it is a scheduled stop for the 207. Leslie, you know, on the back of Corey Brand there in the number 93, another one of the Ferraris here in the field, and it looks like we're starting it. We've got 3 cars there, just passed through in front of shot 8, 9, 10. And then another pack for 11 and 12, sorry. And here comes 13 and 14. 2 Ferraris up into Griffin's as he looks to the inside, but that's not going to work out for him there, so he needs to try and get back in line there and set up for another run later on in the lap, I would say here, Jays. They'll make their way up to the cutting here. Leslie, he's getting racy though, and he's starting to really poke the nose in at quite a few places. He wants that move,
doesn't he? He wants to get through, but he's not quite fast enough in the spots that he needs to get the move done, so he's got to work a little bit harder, try and plan this positional change. Across the top of the mountain, he looks like he's losing a little bit of ground. And then when he gets up into the braking zone up here, if you're close enough, you can potentially get a little move done. He's got to close that right up into Forest Elbow, or else he's not going to be able to get the move done until potentially the chase. And even then, he might not be close enough.
Yeah, with the BMW ahead of GT Williams, it might be giving just a little bit of an advantage to Corey Brandon, though gap is about 8/10. So hint of a draft there for the 93 might be useful, but wide through the elbow. There's the setup opportunity, Jay. Here we go now down Conrod Straight. Leslie is tucked right up underneath the rear of Corey Brand's car. Surely now, here comes the run as we crest the hill here on Conrod. Brand will struggle with a bit of straight line speed for a moment as Leslie pulls out to the right side of the track. So he's going to have to go the long way around here at the chase, but Brand is not looking for a fight and has rolled out of that one there pretty early on. So job done there. Actually, interesting spot as we look at the car decal on the side of the 555. That said Anne rather than Pass 2. So I wonder if that's an old decal that he's running, or possibly in the wrong server, question mark? Because we're meant to see
whether he's grabbed the wrong decals. Yep.
That's entirely possible, yes, as all the drivers are responsible.
I'm sure
for
I would
adding
have
their-
done that if I was racing. I would have grabbed the wrong decal for sure.
Oh, yes, indeed. All the drivers responsible for adding the decals to their cars correctly. And I'm sure the admins will be a little bit, I don't know, disappointed perhaps. But nevertheless, it's that might be something for the admins to address again into round 3. But we'll worry about that another time. The guys now up into 13th and 14th place, thanks to another car coming down the pits, which I'm going to guess, no, it wasn't Hendrik Krzinga because he's just come around turn 2. In fact, I don't know quite sure why we've had a change of position for a couple of guys. If we have a look here, it's Marcus Watson leading those who are pitted. I still wonder if we're going to have race control decide if there's any action needed to take about lap 1, but it would seem that nothing coming of it so far, so Watson allowed to stay out on track and continue the fight. As we look at Krzinga here, currently running in 22nd place on track, but yeah, second of those to pit. And I will wonder here, with the tank being that close to being able to make it here on a race, Jay, what is the possibility, do we think? We see a driver try and gamble on making it without a stop. I don't think there's a compulsory pit stop, but I might have to double check that again.
Yeah, I don't think
before next week.
Yeah, I don't think there is a compulsory stop. I was about to say the only one I'm thinking that might be trying to do it is Muscat, because he was starting to drop back a little bit. But right on cue, he's come in. Andrews has come in as well, so I think he's followed in. All of the top few have come in now. Looks like everyone is coming into pit. So Nikolef in, Blackman in, Lewis in, Foster's coming in, Frost coming in as well, Ashmore, Williams, he's coming in too. So everyone's coming in on this lap, except for there was one car that continued on, but I believe that was a car that's a lap down. So they will get their lap back. But look at all these cars in the lane. Very, very busy place right now.
Indeed. Looking now to see, is there anyone who stays out? The answer is no. We've gotten down to 19th and 20th on track, and they're all coming into the lane as well. So here comes Marcus Watson around the final corner, but I can tell you now the race leaders are coming out of pit lane and on Mountain Straight now. So Watson will pick up a couple of spots here from guys who are still in their box. Oh, I just think I saw Corey Brand on a very awful angle in the pit lane. That'll cost him some spots. Yeah, that's
His pit box.
That's quite the pit box miss there, and a bit of a shuffling around there. So hopefully we might get a moment to have a look at what happened there for the number 93. Possibly just, I think, by the looks of things, caught out by the number of cars that came into the lane and couldn't find their pit crew member that was waiting at the front of the box, since there isn't too much identification available to us here. So we can have a look at it on replay. Much thanks to Jay there and Virtual Racing School 4. It's pulling over us again, bringing the car in, and it's definitely slow on entry for good measure as well. Looks like very driving a bit conservative to ensure nothing there happens as we come down the lane. And yeah, up behind David Leslie there.
Brady's too close.
Bit of a bump for good measure with David Leslie, and then yeah, doesn't spot the pit box, and now here comes the shuffle to try and get himself far enough over without going too far forward. And oh, that is a very, it's probably one of the most painful things about pit procedure here, as he watches everyone else ahead of him pull out of the pits, and he's left wishing things were different as we head back to live pitches. And well, I thought we were going to have a battle for the race lead, Jay, but it looks like scratch that, we need to have a battle here for second place, as we're riding on board with Owen Coleman in the number 027 car. He's had a fantastically quick pit stop, nearly a second and a half faster than Jason Muscat in front of him. So Muscat possibly there just taking on enough fuel as an insurance gamble to ensure that he could go flat out here, whereas Coleman may be playing it a little bit more close to the margin, especially since we are a time certain race and could possibly go one lap extra than calculated here, depending on what the numbers have been run for these guys. But Coleman is absolutely working the back of that car. Jumps on a quick virtual races to replay here as we see 26 Jeffrey Wang up the inside of the 13 Greg Holmes, and explains to me Greg Holmes towed his car back to the pit lane. That's not ideal for either of those guys. They were fighting over what was looks like to be 21st place, and unfortunately one of them has come off far worse than the other there, Jay.
Yeah, was a pretty messy incident, and straight away Jeffrey Wang's driven the car straight into the pit lane. So whether he's received a penalty or a meatball, he's decided that the right thing for him to do is to come into the pits and maybe just self-penalising himself, which noticed last week a couple of drivers did it as well. So I always like seeing that. If drivers think they've done the wrong thing, penalise yourself rather than let race control do it for you, because often race control will be a little bit more lenient on you if you penalise yourself rather than wait for them to do it for you.
That is true. It is a very rarely seen gesture, to be honest, but very much appreciated nevertheless. Stopped in the box for 1.5 seconds, so I think possibly taking a repair there. But we stay with the front of the field here. Owen Coleman has actually gotten past Muscat on the way up Mountain Straight last time by, if I was not mistaken. So, yeah, all over the back of the cars. We look here from the rear of Coleman towards Muscat again. And look at the slipstream advantage in effect as always here at Conrod and Bathurst. Down into the chase, but Muscat's not looking this time by. Thinks about showing a nose there maybe, but nothing of it here. We are approaching 10 minutes to go. In fact, just clicking past 10 minutes to go, sorry. As those guys head down to Murray's corner. We'll have a quick look at the virtual racing score replay and just see here. Straightforward drag run, but he's going to have to go around the outside here at Griffin. So how much of a resistance has Muscat put up here? I am curious to see this. A good sort of marker of what the fight's at, and no, nothing too much of a fight. I think Muscat, yeah, playing the longer game here, even though we are in the second half of the race, keeping himself in position to attack back here and drafting now up the hill. It's his turn to get the run, and up the inside he goes on Owen Coleman.
Nice move.
Gets the pass done there, so change of position for P2 once again, but these guys going back and forth. Let's just give him Matt Andrews all the freebies he needs to get away. They're not lapping super hot at the moment, and they're currently in the 2:05 range at the front of the field. Fastest driver on circuit currently is Marcus Watson, Joshua Lawrence. 6th place for Watson and 16th for Lawrence, respectively. They're the two cars in the 2:04 bracket. But we'll see here now as these guys work their way over the hill once again. It's keeping Brady Buchanan in the fight. Now, Buchanan did get jumped by Coleman in the pit cycle. Oh, Coleman, though, that's a little deep of the preferred line down the S's there, but thankfully gets it more...
oh, something's happened to Andrews. There. Something's happened to Andrews. Whether it's traffic or he's been involved in an incident, but he's lost 3 seconds. He was 4.5 seconds up the road. It's now 2. 1.5.
That has to be traffic. So in front of Muscat is Paul Longworth in the number 21 Ferrari here. Longman is back in 28th spot, or at least he was at 28th at the line, and given the nature of what's happening down the end of the field there, still is. So indeed, let's have a look at the virtual race score. Oh boy, oh, that's not a good sign if you're the race leader and you've got lap traffic ahead. Oh, and then the wall for good measure here from Longworth. Yeah, this is just a case of
wall again.
Clip the wall for a 3rd time, missed the racing line there. So yeah, just held up in the worst possible way there. So opening the door for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th to have another sniff at the race leader again, but those 3 guys are going to have to start working together rather than going back and forth for position there. Otherwise, Andrews is going to get a chance to walk away here again. And
one thing I noticed before too, just before we noticed that pass, or Muscat getting that pass done on the previous lap, there's a tiny little bit of damage to Owen Coleman's car over the front right-hand wheel. And we saw it a little bit more noticeable on the onboard. But you see on the right-hand side, there's a tiny little bit of damage. So that could be affecting his straight line speed and his ability to come back and get this move done back on Muscat.
Very true indeed. The shot from the roof doesn't quite show it there, but as he swings the car around here for... Oh, you've done me dirty, Jay. We switched to the onboard shot there.
Sorry.
I was going to say, just as we watch with the TV cams up the hill here, and you can see there, even as we...
that's it there.
And as what you definitely hear on this right side, you can see there clear as day, that right front tyre sticking out past the guard by quite a bit. And that's not thankfully because the tyre's been moved out of place. That's because the guard has been punched in by a healthy margin there. But pace looks okay over the top, but now lapping in the 2:06 range. So pace is dropping off for these guys here in the latter stages of the race, it looks like.
And on that pace as well, we were talking about the issues for Matt Andrews on the previous lap. His lap was a 2:08, his slowest lap of the race other than his pit stop lap. His fastest lap of the race, it's been a big incident.
Yeah,
Chad Lewis around, Krasinga around.
Oh boy, thankfully both cars are off the racing line, but even here at Bathurst, that's a pretty dicey place to be. Chad Lewis has towed his car back to the pit lane to...
Something's happened to Stuart Brown as well. He was in 5th position, but he's now off the track with a meatball flag.
Oh boy, yeah, indeed. Cars with meatballs popping up everywhere. So, staying on the Virtual Racing School replay here as we look at the 77 of Stuart Brown. And, oh no. Oh dear. And fence. Oh, and then instant ejection over the fence at Skyline. I'm a little concerned. Was that the lapped car of Paul Longworth involved there, I think? Because that was a silver and grey Ferrari. But we'll have a quick look here at Hendrik Krasinga. Oh no! Goodness me!
That's straight after that incident. Chad Lewis was around as well. Yes, it's number 21.
Oh dear, so Paul Longworth in the wars tonight. Chad Lewis completely independent of all that, thankfully, but that's going to be even more painful.
Is it?
For the 27, I think. Oh no, that's, yeah, like I said, it is. So Longworth has spun in the middle of the S's, so Chad Lewis comes down the hill here and slaps the right rear into the exit of the dipper, and then straighten her out, son, and keep the racing line open as the cars make their way down the hill, and then parks it there, possibly thinking about trying to flick spin it and get it going again, but opts to take the safer but more painful option of towing that car back to the pit lane, which will certainly hurt his race result here, but smarter option to take at this stage. Well, racing here, leaders are trying to oh, hello, the number 17. That is Peter Sharp, unfortunately down in 24th place and parked on the edge of the apex at Forest Elbow. Backing the car up now and getting that out of the way, but meanwhile, back to the front of the field because Brady Buchanan has decided now is the time with 4 minutes or just under on the clock. Goes past Owen Coleman to get that spot back that he lost during the pit cycle. And yeah, Coleman's got good cornering and braking performance, but yeah, that car definitely lacking a bit in a straight line given that he wasn't too far behind Muscat all the way down Conrod Straight there, Jay.
Yeah, surprising how easily he gave up that spot, wasn't it? Just based on that. So we've got 2 laps to go as well. But yeah, I think that straight line speed's definitely starting to affect Coleman now because these guys, the tyres will be right up to optimum temperature range 4 or 5 laps after the pit stop. So they've got a little bit of heat back in the tyres again. So yeah, that's really all it can be because Coleman's 1 lap pace is very, very good in comparison to everyone else, but he just hasn't got the straight line speed to be able to get the moves done. I'll tell you what, that was a little bit closer than I was expecting.
Duck in behind as Simon Frost brings his number 3 Mercedes back onto pit lane. So that's a little interesting there from that car. As we have a BMW spinning at turn 1, GT Williams in his number 25 machine. Still up on positions from his race start spot, which is good to see, but I believe knocks himself well out of contention for fighting for a top 10 finish now. We'll have to settle in for the run here to finish 11th as we look here at the Virtual Racing School replay. And don't tell me, well, do tell me, because here we go, watch the replay, and yeah, just in too deep at turn 1. Rear end goes around as he tries to get it spun and rotated through the corner, I should say. And that's going to be a no dice as we look back to live pictures. And here's second place on track, 46 and Jason Muscat having to navigate some lap traffic there in the hands of Aaron Maguire. And now watch here on board with Owen Coleman. What his pace, and in fact, yeah, look at that, the BMW
pulling away
in the tow of Muscat ahead. It's able to pull away in a straight line, not by much, but even there you see a couple of hundredths. We've had a pretty steady 0.02 of a second every time the overlay is updating there. That's a pretty decisive and convincing breakaway. Coleman's still got it under brakes though, because look at that there on the exit of the chase. So he's going to be hurting here as they come across the start-finish line. Now, they will have taken the white flag here on this lap. So 12-lap race here for Pass 2. as they get ready to go for one final time around the mountain. This group of 3 here, can they catch Jason Muscat for second place? Not entirely sure. That BMW's got some serious grunt in the straight line, and again, as we make the run up the hill, he is catching. Coleman, on the other hand, slowly falling away against that BMW, undamaged, and a powerhouse in a straight line is definitely hurting Coleman's chances of getting back to second, third place, and now make that both sides of the Ferrari bent in substantially.
Look at the left hand down.
That has got to be, that is steering damage and then some. And now as he gets the car straightened back out after the cutting there, he might have gotten away without.
He's got a dead zone in his wheel. You can see that he hits the wheel straight and it just does nothing.
That we can indeed. He's definitely still pushing it though over the top. At this stage, he's got plenty of a gap back to Marcus Watson in 5th. I would be careful of if I was in Coleman's shoes here. I think get that car to the checkered flag now. You're not going to get caught unless you do something risky and hit the fence again. So, well, top 3. Oh, no. Speaking of drivers who could catch the 027, here it is, the 207 of Marcus Watson, who's found the fence down the S's, and here comes the field. Now they're going to have to be very careful as they go down. Oh, no, he's parked it in the middle of the track. Not good, not good. Oh, gets clipped by the number 7 of Reese Ashmore, who's had to dive out of the way. And, tries to get going. He's just spun the car again. So we have a look at the replay, and, nasty, but not an uncommon sight to see there. As down to the final corner comes Matt Andrews in the number 2 BMW, starting the race from the pole. He has not been challenged all race long, flashing the headlights before Murray's. He knew he had the job done there, and across the line for him. That's the checkered flag and a race win here in Pass 2 for Matt Andrews. Jason Muscat holds on to second place ahead of Brady Buchanan to round out the podium, and Owen Coleman also able to get that car home. Meanwhile, the rest of the field brings their car across down the hill here. As we look here,
dive.
Battle for 14th place. Matt Hardigan in that 999 Porsche trying to hold off Jamie Blackman in the number 12 Ferrari. Blackman looking to recover there after getting entangled what must have been a lap 1 based on the starting 8th and now currently down in 15th, but make that 14th in a second here. Shaw as they come down the hill into the chase, and through goes Blackman. Oh, that car though.
He wanted to throw it away then.
So Hardigan's got half a chance here. Can he throw it up the inside one final time? Meanwhile, directly behind that, we've got Jeffrey Wang getting past Simon Dwyer for a 16th place. Oh, defending to the bitter end. Blackman is going to hang on to that position he's gained there at the end of the final one. And trouble at the chase for Jesse White Carrick. Our lone Audi in the field tonight in the 777. He's gone around, and that's going to allow Simon Frost through for 19th place there. And drama aplenty unfolding there as Matt Andrews brings his car around up to speed, but he has...
I'm guessing he's going to do the jump.
Well, let's stay with him then, because indeed he did take the checkered flag last time by, and he ain't slowing down, so I'm not taking the sucker's bet. Let's see what he does here.
Oh, no.
Oh, actually, no, he doesn't. He's just going fast to bring it back to pit lane, or perhaps for celebratory skids at the end of that one there. Well, I think it's time now to have a quick look at the race results here as we get ready to also take a moment and switch over to the main Pro-Am split. But it's Matt Andrews taking the race win there, 1.7 seconds clear. Not a massive gap, but looked pretty comfortable and unchallenged versus Jason Muscat there, second place for him. Brady Buchanan brings it home, third place ahead of Owen Coleman, having to back it off there on that final lap after beating in the front left corner of his car to match the front right there. So fourth place for him though, nevertheless. John Nikolaev comes home in fifth place ahead of Mark Foster in sixth. Reese Ashmore in seventh with Joshua Lawrence in eighth. David Leslie in ninth, and GT Williams getting back into the top 10 after his spin that we had a quick look at earlier on there. Hilton Booth, 11th place for him ahead of Ben Pollock in 12th. Corey Brand in 13th ahead of Jamie Blackman for 14th. Matt Hardigan 15th will finish ahead of Jeffrey Wang in 16th with Simon Dwyer 17th. Stuart Brown 18th after his earlier entanglement. Simon Frost 19th there. with his 2 pit stops to his name there in that race, and Jesse White-Carrick after that spin, rounding out the top 20 there at the end of that one.
Then the rest of our field was Chad Lewis and Aaron Matters, the last 2 drivers on the lead lap. Then we got Marcus Watson, who had that issue on the final lap. Ends up classified 1 lap down, did not finish the race. Troy Mortensen and Aaron Maguire, as well as Peter Sharp, Anthony Connors, and Paul Longworth, all 1 lap down. Henrik Krasinga, who we saw get involved in that big one at the top of the mountain, finishes 2 laps down, and Greg Holmes also involved in an issue at the top of the mountain in an incident. He also did not finish the race, unfortunately, 4 laps down for him. We get in and ready for the main event. 2 races coming up. Got a 15-minute sprint, and then we cap it off with a 40-minute mini enduro. Sorry, a 10-minute race and a 40-minute race. Very, very much looking forward to these 2 races. Going to be absolutely action-packed.
That it will. We'll take a quick moment, though, to get ourselves ready for those 2 events. So stick with us here, and we'll be back with you in just a moment.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going with the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Welcome back to SimSpeed TV. Thank you for staying with us here as we continue our coverage of the simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series here for season number 6. Round number 2 from the Mount Panorama Circuit at Bathurst. It's now time for the main event here. The Pro-Am divisions on track now in qualifying, which we'll get to with you in just a moment's time, as we'll just come from that past 2 race. But it's now time for the main game. Let's have a quick look at the championship standings after last week's wildcard round 1 at Le Mans. It's Jack Whittis after another clean sweep in the pro class, taking home the full championship points with 320 to his name now. Calix Poon up to 2nd place, just ahead of Daniel Webster in 3rd there. Tight positions there, and then tied for 4th place there between Jeff Connell and Adam Funslow on 269 apiece, and Brandon Levin top 6 there with 251. Then it's a bit of a gap back to Ross Rizzo after his shocker race 1, followed by a recovery in race 2 to 2nd place there, with Christopher Henn, Nathan Moore and Dennis Gaderick rounding out our top 10 here in the pro division of the series. And then quickly over to the AM class division, where it's currently a bit more of a runaway for Sebastian Varndell. Well, I say runaway within the relative scheme of things, as compared to the other classes, past 2 and pro, Varndell holds a more comfortable lead there compared to his compatriots, but 70 points, the gap back to Wayne Losh there in 2nd. Richard Brookfield a little bit closer behind there in 3rd, looking to continue to improve on his results from round 1. And then it's Sean Lacey in 4th, ahead of Mosman Ross in 5th. And then close gaps here for the rest of the top 10 with Aaron Oliver not far behind, along with Sam Lehman, Liam Caplice, Richard Mann, Damien Seeger, rounding out our top 10 drivers there in the AM division of the Oz Pro Am. Now cut to live pictures from qualifying, and Jack Boyd in the 058 here. One of returning drivers in the Oz Pro-Am series. And see there with the Pro denoting his class there, as we were seeing. Our Pro does, in fact, drives it up to the fence and calls it quits there on that run. So not able to improve there in that instance. We look to our next driver on the timing tower, Matthew Cardellone. Also on an outlap there by the looks of things. So currently second and a tenth and a half to find if he wants to catch up to Jack Boyd, who on those numbers is the only driver in the 201 range at the moment. But plenty of time here for Cardellone, sorry, to get at least, well, not plenty of time. He should have just enough time, I should say, to get 2 laps in here to finish that run. As speaking of drivers, looking to number 15 of Chu Kang as he comes across the line. Kang currently sitting back a little further in the order.
Actually,
comes across line
didn't
to
have a lap
set
time before then. That one doesn't count either.
Oh, so a little bit of trouble there for the number 15. Are we looking to get a time on the board here soon? And with 4 minutes 40 on the clock, he can get 2 more laps in as we look here at another driver looking to set times. Aaron Olver in the number 70 there. Olver is currently running down in 25th outright.
Yeah, current best of a 2:03.6. Interesting the pace difference between Pass 2 and our Pro and Am class. The Pro's running around about 3.5 seconds faster than what we saw in that last race just then.
I'll speak a bit there to the pace we're seeing in this series and, well, the spread of drivers that are accommodated in the series. Curious to see what the times are like come the end of it all. At the moment, it's currently about almost a 4-second range here in the Pro and Am divisions as we have a look here at a bunch of cars making their way down into the chase here. They'll be setting up what will be their... actually, they should get, pardon me, they will get the end of this lap and then another one in here. So look at Jai Potts, another one of our Am class drivers, making his way across the line to set at 2:03.6. That's good enough for 25th at the moment here. So there's a lot of drivers fighting over some common ground. And he will get 2 more laps here if the tyres have got it in them. But we're yet to see if that is the case. Now, looking back at another one of our drivers, number 11, Matthew Johnson. Not yet set a competitive qualifying time as he brings it down into Murray's corner here for his first flyer. Looks a little bit off the pace perhaps, but he'll get it across the line. At least we get a banker in. 2:03.5 for him. Puts him up in 24th place in class. So that there sets him up a little better as he makes his way again around to run another flying lap here, I would think. One of our Pro drivers out on track. Graham Smith, the number 10. He does have a time next to his name, and he's currently up in 14th overall. So looking to improve on a 2:02.8. What's he got here as he comes across the line, or comes through Murray's corner to take the line?
Oh, car spun in front of him.
Car spun in front of him. That probably did not help things. A 2:03.0. Maybe not too compromised. He's still got time to get another one on.
Cardellone had a big moment just there coming through the chase, so yeah, he's backed out, but he's got to be careful to get across the line with around about 2 minutes 4 to go. Hard cut in qualifying, so as soon as the checkered flag flies, that's the end of the session, and it looks like he will be the last driver to get a lap in on this run. Needs to find a 10th and a half.
Indeed, he's got just a moment of time there, and that will be the last person across the line. There is a Lamborghini behind him, but I do suspect that was probably too close for company. There's Michael Rosenblatt behind him, but I think, yeah, he's left it a little bit too close for him to be able to get across the line. So, yes, Cardellone, last driver I expect to see setting times. Let's have a look here now at the 25 of Wayne Losh. Currently way back, 24th in class, 44th outright. Improves to a 2:04.3, but that's his qualifying done there. And he's up to 20th in class, but 40th outright will be... have to look after himself in the first of these 2 races here tonight. Next couple of cars coming down the track. Have a bit of a shuffle at the top of the timing tower. Jack Widders has slipped into second place.
Yeah, nice.
So
oh, Jeff Connell, P1.
And then there we go. Second driver into the 2-minute 1 range. Defending champion Jeff Connell puts it on pole with a 2:01.87. It's only 300ths clear of Jack Boyd's time, or less than 300ths clear, as we see there. 0.027 for good measure. What has Matthew Cardellone got for us here? Looks okay,
This lap
I
doesn't
think.
look too bad, does it? The sector times aren't purple, but they're all personal best. So this could be enough. You can string a personal best at every sector. It could be that, you know, he only needs to find 0.02 of a second to get himself back up into third after Widdis and Connell have gone past him on the timing sheet.
Indeed. Well, he's currently got Jack Boyd right behind him, but Boyd has to be on an outlap.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken. We didn't get a chance to catch him there. As he comes, Cardellone brings the car down into the chase here. Looks to have been another personal best there as he comes through the chase. So everything lining up green here on the timing tower as Cardellone brings the car down into the final corner there. Nice and clean, whilst also maximising the track there on exit. And, oh, I think he's just running a bit wide there. And lucky for him that qualifying hard cuts, because that happened in the session. That might have been a little bit messy there. 202.0, unfortunately, not enough to improve there for him. So, time now to head to the grid as we see here the front-running drivers, all pro, top 15. So, Jeff Connell just edging ahead of Jack Boyd for this one here, and then it's Jack Widdis will be staying ahead of Matthew Cardellone on that second row. Dennis Gaderick lining up alongside Michael Healy there for 5th and 6th place respectively. And then it's Ross Rizzo and Adam Funslow to start on row number 4 there. Lamborghini and BMW for good measure. Joshua Fitt ahead of John Merritt on row number 5. And then it's Timothy Audi and Christopher Henn in row number 6 here.
And there we got Lachlan Capel, Daniel Cheney and Graham Smith rounding out the top 15 with Glenn Boyd, the lead car of our AM class. So Jack Boyd P2, then his dad Glenn P16, but leading the AM class. Be a little bit of friendly rivalry there. Liam Caplice will start this one from 17th with Luke Fitt in 18th position. Then we got Calix Poon and Sebastian Vandel, the 2 championship leaders, starting in 19th and 20th. Daniel Fleming, Brandon Levin, and then we got Nathan Moore and Derek Orty rounding out the top 24.
More AM drivers back here with Matthew Johnson Sean Lacey 25th with Matthew Johnson 26th. Elliot Osborne and Jai Potts 27th and 28th respectively. Dale Carpenter 29th, and all of our pro drivers and Daniel Webster a little bit further back than he would like, I'm sure. 30th place for him. It's Aaron Oliver alongside Aaron Racanello, so the all Aaron row number 16 there, but AM and pro separating them. Nick Wood will be starting alongside Blake Urquhart on row number 17, ahead of Chu Kang. Michael Rosenblatt on row number 18. And then more of our AM class drivers with Richard Brookfield and Zach Nickel, Phil Orney and Mosma Roz, Wayne Losh and Damien Seeger. They're rounding out 42 cars. And then Richard Mayer, Sam Lehman, Daniel Hill, Brian Borg, and then Mitchell Sparrow. 47 cars all up here tonight as they get rolling from the starting position. As we get ready to see this one get underway here, Jay. Bumper field of cars for the opening GT3 round of the season. And going to have our hands full if past 2 is anything to go by here.
100%. This is going to be a crazy start, you would expect. Only a 10-minute race, but of course that will set the grid for the main race coming up afterwards, which is 40 minutes in length. Here we go. Let's see if we can get through the start of the lap A-OK.
Lights have gone green on the flag. Well, flag has gone green here. And look at this. To the fence from the front of the field. But we've got trouble for a couple of cars who haven't even made it to the start-finish line. For Matthew Johnson in particular, he's gone around and this BMW is now dead last in the field as they make their way out of turn 1. It is hustle and bustle here. We are 2 wide, if not 3 wide even, as these cars head up the hill for the first time here. Trans-Tasman Racing Machines of Rizzo and Healy there, scrapping away as they make the climb up to turn number 2 there. Jack Widdis looking around the outside of Jeff Connell. That's going to be a hairy situation there, but I believe he's able to hang on to it. Couple of cars wide on the outside of turn 2. Thankfully nothing of it so far as they make their way up into the cutting for the first time. Still plenty of 2 wide action through the field, so they've got to look after this one. Oh no! Oh, we've got a near track blocker at the cutting. Oh, thankfully due to cars ejecting there, track blocker is avoided. But Dale Carpenter, Daniel Webster, I think. Yes, Daniel Webster there. Well, was out of shot, but is involved in all this. And then looks like Sam Lehman is also entangled in it all. So that is plenty of drama and chaos. Oh, no trouble at McPhillamy. Brandon Levin in his number 99 Porsche has gone around. Oh, that's now parked in an awful spot there. Drivers were able to go past, but he opts to eject there and get that track clear. No requirement to request a tow from race control in this series, which, given some of what we're seeing here, might be a good thing in particular, as we now jump back on board at the front of the field with the second place car of Jack Wittes here, as he looks to hunt down pole sitter Jeff Connell here. Connell defensive, though, in the initial phase of the chase, so nothing of it this time by as they make their way out of the chase for the first lap here. Should be seeing 5 laps in this one, given the times here, just over 2 minutes a lap. So it's fast, it's furious. These guys definitely working on it. And speaking of working on it, there goes Matthew Carneloni out the inside of Dennis Gaderick there in the 190. He's not waiting around, so job done there for a pass to get back into the up to 4th place. Sorry. As look at this into turn 1. Oh, who's been hung out to dry there? The number 10 is Graham Smith. Don't think he...
I think that was actually very good driving from Christopher Hen. I think you saw Smith was a little bit too deep. He actually moved to the inside, make sure that he didn't get run up the rear. Smith ran wide and then lost 2 spots, but I think that was smart driving from Christopher Hen in the ILEC car, as I just see John Merritt in the Pulse car, just running a little bit wide and gives up the spot that he just got from Joshua Fitt. But yeah, Christopher Hen did a very, very good job of making sure he didn't get run up the rear by Graham Smith.
Unfortunately, as I said, plenty of action to cover here, and so much so that bit of a struggle sometimes to actually make sure. Oh no, too wide at the top of the hill. Oh, yikes, that got messy as they came out of the cutting and past. Oh my goodness me, I can't even remember exactly what the corners here. It's Ullman Reed McPhillamy for the pass.
I think so. Oh no!
Too wide, it's spun, make it 3 involved. Elliot Osborne is in the BMW there, and oh, they've picked up even more people as this has gone on. Oh, don't move, boys. Oh, we've got ourselves a near track blocker here now at McPhillamy and Skyline. Oh, dear me. Multiple cars involved. Yeah, it's basically a track blocker. They need to stop, slow down. Don't move. If you've spun, Sean Lacey, you need to wait. I'm sorry. I know
it's on for the lead.
Meanwhile, indeed, here's the gap. It's we'll call it nothing, because nothing is generous here. Wittes not able to get up alongside that time by. And look at that, parked car on the outside for good measure, thankfully out in the grass. So just trying to limp a car back to pit lane there. Try and see who that was real quick. Mitchell Sparrow in the number 43, for your information. He's unfortunately back in 39th, 19th in class, and trying to limp that thing home. Well, there's 2 laps done, and oh, here comes somebody out of the pit lane as we're seeing the leaders come by. Richard Brookfield in the number 45 has just made his way back out on track. Thankfully, top 3 got them through there, no dramas. So we look here to see number 34 in Racecraft Simulations. That'll be 017 of Brian Borg. Unfortunately, back in 13th place and in the AM class for him tonight. See Glenn Boyd down onto the pit lane now. This is interesting. That car doesn't look... Oh, a little bit of damage there at the rear wing. Sorry, just saw that go pop with the fast repair in place. So, fortunately, that damage there requiring a meatball fix for him. Speaking of meatballs, there are still another 5 that need to be served, unfortunately. And one driver, Richard Brookfield, in the number 33, one of our AM class cars, has also got a black flag from iRacing at this stage. So definitely a rough start to this one here in the Pro-Am. As we look here, look at this top 7 field, and 7th place, Michael Healy in the Trans-Tasman Lamborghini, thankfully able to dispatch the lap car of a Richard Brookfield behind him. But now that means here comes the train, starting with Joshua Fitt. They're looking to get past as we ride on board with Fitt down the mountain here. And he's able to get past at Forest Elbow. So loses the draft opportunity that opens up, but allows him to get that corner done neatly and quickly and get back in pursuit of Healy here. These guys all pretty well compressed here as they come down the mountain here. And they'll have 2 to go at the line, so not long left in their race. And see here, Brookfield just trying to run his race, I think, at this point without getting in the way. Oh, goodness me. Sean Merritt up on the curb on the inside of the chase. That's ambitious to say the least. He's forced Fit to hold the inside line through there, and we're going to make it side by side all the way down to Murray's corner here, Jay.
That was some good driving to hold onto that. There was no way he should have held onto that position. And not only that, he's going to actually get the spot completely by the time they get into turn 1. Will he be able to hold it around the outside? He will, because Fit gets out of it. And taking advantage of the little lift of the throttle. Oh, his fun's low. And I'll tell you what, nice little hit to get him loose. Nice little hit to straighten him up. Joshua Fit loses 2-3 spots, but he's still going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's very fortunate indeed. Well, how much damage has that Audi just picked up there? Because that was a good couple of whacks to the left side of that one there. Meanwhile, while that's been happening, front three are closing back up. It's a McLaren sandwich with Jack Widders and the lone Ferrari up front. The meet in the middle here as they climb out of the cutting and up past Zulman Park, I think it is. I'm probably going to be eviscerated in chat for getting it wrong. If I have, my eternal apologies. I've just never bothered to remember the parks apart from eventually learning that McPhillamy comes right before Skyline. So, oh well.
You're going to be in big trouble on Discord later on.
Incinerate me later if you must. As they come down to the dipper here. But, I mean, look, I know where the grade is, so I suppose if I know that much, I'm not doing too badly, I suppose. They come down to Forest Elbow, though. And Widders is all over the rear of Connell's McLaren. Ferrari possibly just a little bit stronger on the downhill phase of the S's, but nevertheless, what it does mean is he's in prime position to go for a move here if he can get enough of a run here once they crest the hill here in Connell. And look at this, he is closing. Never mind that. Here comes the move, side by side down into the chase. Forced a little narrow, but no curb issues from either of them this time. And Widders is later on the brakes. He's going to swing around. Oh, that rear end was loose, though. He's found the absolute limit of grip there, but he's got the spot. But defending to the white line on the inside. Here comes Jack Boyd and his McLaren around the outside of Jeff Connell. He's looking for a spot here because here comes our white flag for race number 1. Top 3 is certainly all still in it. This race is undecided with 6.2 kilometers to go here.
And not only this fight that's going on as well, our AM class win is going on in just as an intense battle. Vandal, Caprice, Fit going at it. You can see they're 14th, 15th, 16th outright. We'll go back to the front though, because these three, they're going to change position 2 or 3 times on this lap. You can feel it coming. In saying that, Jack Widders is putting on a great defensive drive. Jeff Connell's got to be careful because he can't be too defensive as well, because he needs to attack Widders, but at the same time can't leave the door open to Jack Boyd. Boyd's probably in the best position here just to watch what's going on.
That he is. Widders defending the middle of the track there. Not enough of space up the inside for Connell to make the move at Griffin's Bend. So these guys all going line astern, you would think, here as they climb the hill. They've got laps, AM class traffic up ahead as well. Should be far enough up the road, I would think, that they can avoid catching them here. But anything goes wrong ahead, and we're going to have ourselves traffic deciding the race results in a 10-minute sprint. Something I wouldn't have thought would happen. And in fact, there's a car up ahead smoking heavily in the hands of Wayne Losh. No, sorry, not Wayne Losh, but Elliot Osborne, the 57 BMW in AM class. His engine has expired, so he's going to be a potential factor here if he doesn't get out of the way here. And this is something that we just particularly want to see as we look out the back of Jeff Connell. Thankfully, Widders is clear, so he's not too fast. It's what we can see here between Connell and Boyd. Look at them, though.
Boyd was close to making contact there. He wouldn't have seen that car there.
Somewhat, but I also reckon that was Boyd not willing to leave the slipstream of Connell leave the slipstream as little time as possible. Through the chase they come. Look at him closing here on the exit. What does Boyd opt to do here? There's a 40-minute race coming up, so how much of an attack does he put up here? Connell defends the middle of the track. Does Boyd get an over-under opportunity? He does not. So it's going to be Jack Widders from Jeff Connell and Jack Boyd. Those 3 cars, nothing in it at the end of that one. And despite the fact that that's a 10-minute sprint to set up the feature race, they were going at it like it mattered to the world. Sebastian Vandal has indeed held on for the AM class win. He's actually been able to put a pro class car between him and his AM class competitors. So that's something he'll be happy to see here as we now look back at one of our other battles. It's the fight for 23rd, 24th. Daniel Cheney and a Nick Wood. They're actually in different classes here, so they bring it across the line. And then last couple of battle packs, they make their way across here Matthew Johnson, Damien Seeger, Daniel Hill come across the line in formation ahead of Phil Audie and Glenn Boyd. Oh, not much in it there. Glenn Boyd having taken a pit stop for a bit of a repair and fuel, it would seem, based on an 8-second stationary. So not quite the way he would want. But you can see here, plenty of drivers still racing. And they will have the time to finish this one off. So it's Mos Moroz defending from Zach Nichols. They come off of the corner here at Forest Elbow. Which of these cars has got the run down the straightaway? So looking at the relative here and the overlays, that Mercedes is packing some power here, Jay, as they come up the crest. Nickel can't even catch him in a straight line, it would seem. Oh, I say that. No, here he comes.
Right at the end he's going to, but is he going to be close enough in the end? Moroz is going to defend. Oh, no. Well, can't defend when you're getting punted, unfortunately, and Zach Nickel decides he's just going to continue on. Moroz will drop back, lose the spot. He'll only lose one in the end, so they'll start side by side for the main. Coming up next, actually, Sam Lehman's snuck through on Moroz there, and we'll take the last spot, and Wayne Losh will be just in behind. So they're the last of our runners on the lead lap, and that is our field done.
I think so. Well, I'm looking here, I can see there's one more driver coming around, but for 40th place outright, and he's not even made it to the line, unfortunately, without hitting the fence. He's going to... he could have reversed it across the line, but... Yes, come on, back it up. There we go. Backs it up across the line for 40th place. So Chu Kang having a bit of a rough run there. And not quite the way he wanted, so we'll quickly run the race results for that first sprint race. Jack Wittes, we saw there, fending off Jeff Connell and Jack Boyd. Those guys going at it like it mattered, even though we've got the feature coming up still. They finished ahead of Matthew Cardellone, who holds on the 4th place from Dennis Gadarick in 5th. Ross Rizzo up into 6th place ahead of his teammate Michael Healy there. And then John Merritt, 8th place ahead of Adam Funslow. And Christopher Hen running out our top 10 there. And a mix of cars on display there as we then get into a mix of pros and AMs. Lachlan Capel finishes just outside the top 10. He will have to settle for 11th with Joshua Fitt behind him. And Sebastian Vandel, 13th, but first in the AM class ahead of Timothy Audie on our pros. And then Liam Caplice and Luke Fitt challenging for the AM class win, but not able to quite get it done tonight there. We'll settle for 15th, 16th outright. And Graham Smith, Nathan Moore, another one group of our pros, and then Daniel Fleming, 4th in the AM class, 19th outright. Head of Calix Poon there to round out the top 20 overall there.
And there we've got Jai Potts and Aaron Oliver, 21st, 22nd. Then we've got Daniel Cheney just beating home Nick Wood. Cheney in the pro class, Wood in the AM. We've got Matthew Johnson in 25th. Damien Seeger, 26th position with Daniel Hill in 27th. We saw those three come across the line together. Phil Audie and Glenn Boyd also had a good battle at the end. Of course, Boyd had to pit in that race for reasons unknown at this stage. And Michael Rosenblatt in 30th position. We go across to Brian Borg, who started at the rear, came home in 31st. Blake Urquhart in 32nd with Derek Audie in 33rd. Zach Nickel we saw with that little bit of a bump and run right at the end to get past Mos Moroz. Nickel in 34th. Lehman in 35th. Moroz finishes 36th in the end. Wayne Losh in 37th, as you were saying, to Chu Kang finishes in 38th, reversing across the line. Spin on the last corner, then it's a tale of despair from there on back. Elliot Osborne, Dale Carpenter, they were involved in the early incident on lap 1. Richard Meyer. We've got Aaron Raccandello, we've got Sean Lacey, Daniel Webster, Richard Brookfield, Brandon Levin, and Mitchell Sparrow. Our 47 starters in that race. Sadly, we didn't have 47 finishers, but 47 starters always means you're going to have a very, very tough night to get a good result. We're only 2 minutes away from doing it all over again. The only change from the two changes, I should say, from last race to this one is we do it 4 times longer and we reverse the top 10.
That indeed we do. We didn't get a chance to talk about it there, unfortunately, since we were focusing there on what was coming up. So just to reiterate there, it's Christopher Hen who finished 10th in the 10-minute sprint race. So he gets that pole position for the 40-minute feature. And curious to see here. So we'll be looking at about 20 laps or thereabouts in that case. The only question will be, with the pit stops required due to the tank restrictions, what strategies we see from the drivers here. They might be able to make it home on one stop. In fact, they should be good for one stop if I'm not mistaken. But they will have to run the tanks out a fair bit before they can think about bringing it in to come home and fill up.
Talking to series admin Sam Lehman before the race, he said that some drivers will have to pit twice in this one. Risky to do a one stop in this race based on the fuel restrictions, so that could make it quite interesting to see whether some drivers do try and risk it and do a one stop and then maybe run a lap short depending on how the pace of the race goes. It's always difficult in these lap count races to know exactly how many laps it's going to be based on the speed of the drivers. And of course, if you are on pace to make it without an extra pit stop and then have to pit right at the end, it can change how many laps the race actually runs.
That is very true indeed. Well, I'll be curious to see how it plays out. Looking at the numbers and trying to run the arithmetic in my head, I'm thinking it's plausible to get it done on one stop, Jay, for most of these cars. It will certainly be tight. So you will have to try. You have to run the tank all the way out here at the start of the first half of the race, and then get it in and bring it home after that.
The other part to that too, sorry to cut you off there, Dan, is if it is an odd numbered of laps in the race, when do you do the extra lap? Are you then going to be a lap short right at the end and forced into making a splash and dash for one lap of fuel? It's very, very tight. It is really tight, these numbers.
That is true. Well, we'll see how things play out and hopefully have a chat to the drivers after this one is all said and done. A couple of the guys at the front of the field were definitely, did talk about how the fuel restrictions at Le Mans certainly forced them to have to play things a little bit differently there as we get ready to send these cars to the grid here for this second of two races here in the Pro-Am tonight. 40-minute feature coming your way, and as we said, inverted top 10 means it's Christopher Henn who will be taking the pole position here for this one. Adam Funslow alongside him on the front row, and then John Merritt and Michael Healy for row number 3, Ross Rizzo and Dennis Gadarick for row 2 for Healy and Merritt and Healy, my apologies. Row 3 is Rizzo and Gadarick, Catalone and Boyd with Connell and Wittes out the front 5 rows, and then from there on, results from race 1 setting the grid in order. So fairly straightforward there, Jay, as we just wait for the grid timer to run out and for the drivers to finish making their way onto the grid, which means we might get rolling a little earlier than normal, but I don't expect that to be the case.
We're only waiting for one driver, so we may. Yep, we're going to get going 7 seconds earlier. Not that that will really make any difference to many, but saying that with the amount of fuel that these guys are tight on, that tiny, minute amount of fuel could be the difference between making it and coughing right at the line. So I'm surprised that more drivers didn't wait until the last moment to actually get themselves onto the grid. We often see the little strategy mind games come about when we see these sort of races where it's so heavily fuel defined, but a lot of drivers not really worried too much about that minute amount of fuel. So it'll be interesting to see how much it does come down to it as we get ready to go. 40 minutes on the clock.
Race will be in the hands of Christopher Henn, although I believe waiting for the iRacing green. He's been given quite a bit of space by Adam Funslow though on the outside, so coming around Murray's corner and waiting on the green signal. Oh, trouble though there in the background. Multiple cars. Oh no, and then spin at the final corner for several drivers. Nathan Moore is one of them that's involved. Oh boy, it's going off already here at the start of the second race of the Pro-Am tonight. 40 minutes is go, but there are several cars that are already going to be saying day done. And number 37 of Jai Potts is already one of those who's decided to escape back to the pits. So that's not the start he wants, as the guys at the front of the field, look at them now, absolutely swarming over the guys ahead of them. So 2 by 2 into Griffin's Bend we go. Cartalone alongside, that was Ross Rizzo, and Jack Wittes now up the inside of him. As look at them now flying up into the cutting here for the first time. Keep it nice and steady here, boys, because you've got a longer race in front of you. It's a standard 40-minute GT3 sprint race that many would be familiar with on iRacing, but nevertheless, this is one of the trickiest places to get it done here. So you want to be single file here, I think, on lap 1. You guys can worry about the racing. Oh, no. Trouble for Dale Carpenter. We've got a track blocker of all, well, almost at the exit of the cutting.
Oh,
Seems to have sorted itself out. Oh, but then up the front, trouble for Luke Fitt at the beginning of McPhillamy Park. He's pulled his Audi off to the inside of the track, thankfully. And I think that car is crabbing and done. Oh, and then Liam Caplace is spun at the dipper in the number 20. Oh, it's going off everywhere around here, folks. And barely keep up with where to look next as we see the front of the field streak their way down Conrad Straight. Finally, I think they're getting a moment, taking a moment here to breathe. And, yeah, meatball flags for several cars, including the 151 of Luke Fitt, 777 of Blake Urquhart, and the 111 of Dale Carpenter. iRacing penalty black flags for number 5 of Zach Nickel, and the 37 of Jai Potts, though. So,
Jai Potts one will be interesting because remember he was the car that we said had spun. Oh no, Graham Smith into the wall.
Oh dear me, that is not pretty. Rear end first into the fence. That BMW will be sporting some decent damage, but he recovers and presses on here. And look to the front straight away as we see.
It was Daniel Fleming that ran wide at the final corner. Did a good job to pull it up side by side down the straight. Jack Wittes is making some moves early.
Yes, he is. He's ahead of Matthew Cartolone now, and only up into 7th place for the time being. So it's a bit of a slow march forward for these guys. And in fact, the hard charger at the moment is, well, Wittes has got more spots on track, but Jack Boyd ahead has latched onto the front train here. He's now looking to get a move done soon enough on Dennis Gaderick directly ahead of him here as we ride on board with the 058 up the hill. And see here, leaving absolutely nothing to spare on the exit of the cutting and down through the grate. A little bit more track left and in reserve there initially, but there wasn't much there between the fences. He opened the steering up eventually. And down the hill they come here for lap number 2, over what we estimate to be 20 laps. And again, these guys threading the needle that is the racing line here at Mount Panorama, all keeping in nice line astern. So the question is, who gets the run here off the elbow and get the power down?
Oh, Funslow, huge slide.
Nothing left on it as he comes out of the elbow. I think thankfully he's preserved just enough speed there to keep that place relatively under control as they make their way in pursuit of the race leader, who is still Christopher Henn.
How did he not lose time there? How did he not lose any time from that huge slide coming out of the corner?
It was just enough of a slide to be obvious, but apparently just not enough to keep the pressure on. Because speaking of pressure, he's now on the gearbox of Michael Healy, and he's not waiting around. Up the inside he goes here at Murray's corner. Has to clip the apex curb, but he's almost got the job done, but he hasn't. No. Here comes John Merritt up the inside. We're 3 wide on lap number 3 here, folks, heading into Hell Corner. And Merritt with the send. Door slams Healy, and Healy gets sent to the back of the train here. Oh, that's not what he wants to see from second. He's jumped forward all the way back to 7th place in the space of 2 corners there, Jay.
I wonder if Michael Healy didn't realise that it was 3 wide and just threw it in there thinking that he was clear of the car inside of him, of Adam Funslow, and didn't realise it was 3 wide and just drove it in there. Because you look, Merritt made the corner, so you can't fault the move from Merritt. I'm sure he dove it in there, but he pulled it up and actually made the apex, so you can't fault that move in that aspect. Done everything you're supposed to do in making a move, is make the corner, and make the corner without making contact. I don't know if he actually forced the contact there on Healy.
I might go have a look at that one again, maybe ever so slightly.
Let's have a look again 50-50.
All right, we will take a look at it then on the Virtual Racing School replay. And that gives us a chance to see what we think of it as we go back to Murray's corner. And again, we see here it starts with Funslow making the move up the inside at Murray's. Leaves Healy with not a lot of room to spare, but Merritt decides that's the perfect opportunity for him to go up the inside here. Now, obviously, on the very inside line there for Merritt. Yes, indeed. Healy turning in like you would if there was no one there. But there is a car there, and they've earned the spot. Merritt there clearly just having to wait for the turn in to be able to get that corner done cleanly without an off track on the inside. So that, unfortunately, is entirely on the Trans-Tasman car. As we look here at Jack Wittes, race 1 winner up the inside of Dennis Gaderick. Job done at the chase fairly easy. Slow car ahead, though. that's not going to help for these guys. Chu Kang, his number 15 Ferrari on the right side of track here as we stay on board with Healy in his Lamborghini. We come down to Murray's corner here to end their third lap. And Kang continuing to stay out as
that to me, Ross Rizzo of all people to pit early, that says that it's a 2-stop race straight away.
That's a good point. Ross Rizzo is certainly not a driver to be making errors when it comes to pit strategy here. But pitting with just 6.5 minutes on the clock.
I think he's trying to get out of that queue because it was getting so racy and so messy.
That indeed it was. We see here Jack Boyd up the inside of Adam Funslow at Griffin's Bend, and job done there. Funslow unable to defend around the outside. Meanwhile, headlight flashes in the background from Matthew Cartalone. Not sure if that's directed at Jeff Connell, who was either beside him on the Exeter Griffins or something else there. Nevertheless, though, job done for those guys as we see here now Boyd's focus to close in on the rear of John Merritt's Lamborghini as they make their way up over the hill. Meanwhile, though, having a look at our drivers fighting over 12th outright, but Tim Audi that we can see the rear bumper of in shot is a Pro Class driver. We're right on board, though, with the AM Class leader in the race, Sebastian Vandale, once again, continuing to, he's got Aaron Oliver right behind him there. That's our 1-2 in AM division here at the moment. As both these guys make their way down the hill, but look at Vandale. He is all over the rear bumper of Audi and trying to put him under pressure, but I think he just overdrove Forrest Elbow that time there, Jay. Possibly opening him up to a little bit of attack from the Mercedes, but that BMW is a rocket in a straight line. Looks like he's pulling away again thanks to the tow. Meanwhile, Funslow trying to have another go here at Jack Whittis, but nothing coming of it this time by.
Interesting that Jack Whittis and Jeff Connell started side by side in this race. Jeff Connell has not gained a spot. Whittis has gained 6. Boyd has gained 5, and you just see they're going to gain another spot there because Michael Healy, the other of the Trans-Tasman cars, has come in. Now, while we were on board with him before, I was trying to work out if he had any damage to his car as we're seeing a couple more drivers come in. Aaron Oliver in. Brian Borg is coming in as well by the looks. No, sorry, it's Daniel Cheney that's coming in. So a few drivers starting to come in now at the almost 10-minute mark. But yeah, Healy surprisingly didn't get any damage from that contact. I thought he may have had a little bit of a steering knock to his car, but he did get away with that as John Merritt also starting to make inroads to the leader of Christopher Henn. Henn had pulled out around about 1.5 seconds while those guys were fighting down the front straight, and there was that little bit of contact. That's gone in an instant. Last lap by, one of the fastest laps on track was by John Merritt.
That it was 202.72 for John Merritt last time by. Christopher Henn squandering his advantage, with a 203.9 being nearly 1 second off his pace that he has already shown in this race so far. So not doing himself any favours. And Jack Boyd faster again than Merritt on a 202.6. So that's the times at the front of the field now as they make their way down the hill here. And into Forrest Elbow once again here on their 5th lap of the race. As we see here now, what will these guys do? If the Trans-Tasman cars, as we said, have come out of the train and they're banking on a 2-stop strategy, it would seem, I'll be very curious to know if these guys here are running it long, as long as they can, to try and make the 1-stopper work. As they come down in the chase here, Merritt's close to Henn, but not quite there this time. So he's going to have to settle in and stay the line. He was actually able to pull away from Jack Boyd there, it looked like, in a straight line. But, oh no, here they come. Down onto the lane for the leading drivers. Top 4 all win just like that. And they're followed in certainly by plenty more people. Jeff Connell is the one exception. He opts to stay out here on the end of lap 5. So I'm curious to see here. This is now people definitely committing to a 2-stop strategy because there's no way they're making it home from here on these fuel tank restrictions. You make it home on a 50% tank maybe from here in this race. So on a 36% tank, you can forget about that as we ride now on board with the 784. Ross Rizzo, our leading driver, the 2 have pitted. Oh, trouble though at pit entry.
It's Glenn Boyd.
Glenn Boyd in the number 38 McLaren. Something going horribly wrong there for him as we will have a look at what it has happened to him on the virtual racing score replay. So comes into the pits all fairly ordinary there. Now, is it grass on the inside or grass on the outside? It's just way too fast into pit entry there, Joe.
Didn't want to turn for him, did it? Just went straight ahead. So coming out of the pits, Merritt has won that race ahead of Jack Boyd, but Ross Rizzo has pretty much slot in maybe 2 spots ahead of where he was, because he's ahead of Cardellone and Gadderick. He was just behind those guys when he pitted. So Rizzo has won out of this, but not by as much as you may have expected, and saying that fastest pit stop out of the entire field at the moment as well.
Short fuel for Ross Rizzo.
Of course, he wouldn't have been able to put as much fuel in the tank, so that will be why.
Well, in saying that, Adam Funslow not that far off his fuel time at 13.8 seconds for him in the BMW, having just pitted. So a little bit of strategy variation there, because John Merritt 15 seconds stationary, Jack Boyd 15.6 stationary, Jack Widders 16.3, Chris Henn 16.8. Those Ferraris seem to be a little slow stationary in the box. Just having a look at the numbers. Next
Blake
Ferrari
Urquhart,
team is
fastest pit stop time though. 12
seconds stationary. So those BMWs, they've got pretty quick times in the box, it would seem. And Jeff Connell brings it down, and 1 lap later here, absolutely storms into the pit entry. In fact, actually sets his fastest lap of the race with a pit entry time. So there you have it again. The pit entry here at the mountain, if you know how to execute it, can be quick. And of course, being a shortcut on the circuit, it does obviously offer up that opportunity. So where does he come out in relation to Merritt, Boyd, Funslow, Widders, etc.? Times are ticking on the stationary for Connell. He's up near the end of the lane, though, so he's got some time here to spare as the leaders make their way across the line here to start lap number 7. 16.7 seconds stationary. He's topped that tank off as Connell, but it's going to cost him spots. It's going to cost him a lot of spots here. He's going to come out behind Michael Healy, I think, as they run up the hill. Healy will get the advantage on exit. Slots in front of Dennis Gadderick does. Jeff Connell, Gadderick immediately pulls out. Try and get around him here. Side by side up the mountain we go. And Healy is dead center of the track. He's not giving either of these guys a clear toe here.
The advantage that Connell will have is a shorter pit stop time in that second stop. So if you can negate that time loss, maybe gain 2 spots, 3 spots, his pit stop time will be much, much quicker in that final stop, coming up with about 10 minutes left on the clock. So he may look like he's lost out at the moment, but flip it around at the next pit stop, he gains that advantage back once again. Connell's not out of it, but you'd have to think that the likes of Funslow are in probably the best spot at the moment. Jack Widders as well, also in a great spot, but Jack Boyd and John Merritt, they're pulling away a little bit of a gap from Funslow, and Jack Widders is not sticking with the, Adam Funslow is not sticking with those front 2, and that's hurting Jack Widders.
That it is. I think, to be honest, looking at the numbers that I'm seeing in terms of stationary times, we were talking about different flow rates because these cars have different fuel tanks in the pit stops. I think the flow rates just aren't quite balanced here for these double stop short sprints, because those Ferraris, all of the Ferraris I'm seeing on my timing screen, given they all basically came in at the same time, had longer stops than any of the other car classes here. And that's why we see Widders is still back in 4th place as we jump on board with Matthew Cardellone here, looking to pass Dennis Gadderick down into the chase. Thought about it, but nothing of it this time by. Meanwhile, Ross Rizzo said, fine, around the outside of Christopher Henn, I'll go. And gets a spot there to move himself up into 4th place.
Issues for Jack Boyd as well. He's having tech issues and may drop from the server.
Yeah, he's already dropped down my timing order.
Yeah, same.
21st place currently, and yeah, not visible on track, so... And yeah, his connection is dropping all the way. We aren't going to see Jack Boyd here. I think that's his race effectively done. As at this point, there's no recovering from that, I don't think. We'll see him drop from the server, unfortunately, in a moment's time, which is not what you want to see from a competitive driver who...
Well, he was in second, wasn't he?
Well, yeah, he was indeed, right at the front of the field, and has been quite effectively stripped from the fight here as we now look. Promotes Adam Funslow up to second. He's got 1.2 seconds to close down to John Merritt here to try and seal that gap up. He's got Jack Widders behind, trying to push him along. And there is a bit of a breather here back from Jack Widders to Ross Rizzo. It's about 2.5 seconds at the moment. And Rizzo is the one leading this train of cars across the top here. And goes all the way back there to the Porsche of Lachlan Capel. Capel was not quite with this group earlier on in the race, but just been able to slowly catch the train, I think, through just being able to lap consistently here. And it's paying off. He's clearly showing now he's got the pace to ride with the train. What can he do, though, to start improving his position from here, I wonder?
How good is it, though? Top 10 separated by 6 seconds, and there's a 2-second gap between a couple of cars as well. So the fact that we've got the top 6 so close, even with that huge 2.5-second gap, 2-odd-second gap between Rizzo and Wittes, is incredible, as Wittes has a look to steal second place back, and he'll take it. Beautiful move into the chase. We're not far, about 6-7 minutes away from the pit window being open to bring it home.
Yes, you would think that indeed. So they make their way down here into Murray's corner. And Wittes now looks like his eyes fully forward now as they make their way across the line. 8 laps complete, 22 minutes and 45 seconds still on the clock. Meanwhile, here comes Jeff Connell up the inside of Christopher Henn.
Oh, nice move.
And Chris, no real competition from him there. He's looking to try and slot back in, not lose anything else. But if Ross Rizzo has, that's Michael Healy behind him. If he's got anything to say about it here, he'll be looking for a move, but instead Henn looks to pull to the outside of Connell here into Griffin's Bend. This is going to be a bit dicey.
Healy's going to follow.
Here comes Healy. He opts for the inside line. Oh, just makes it work there. Gets on the brakes, but Henn's defending still. Oh no, he's turned Healy. That's put Cartalone in the fence. Yeah, sorry Matthew, but Michael there has already turned himself across. He can't really do much about that as he gets that car up to speed. Oh, Cartalone straight up the inside of Healy as they climb the hill. We jump on the virtual racing school replay because I do want to see there who turned first. If they met in the middle or if one of them there is trying to cover off a spot that they never had fully secured. We look here again, Healy just finds the cars with that have been provided there as we look on board here with Henn. And oh, from that angle, that doesn't look too good for Christopher Henn there, to be honest. Frankly, looks like he's moved over to try and open up the kink before the cutting at turn 4. Healy there mostly more straighter than him, but we'll have a look at it again here.
Oh, yeah. Look, Healy's on the white line on the outside.
That is an open and shut case, unfortunately. Christopher Henn ends up absolutely sin-binning Michael Healy, who trips up Cartalone for good measure, unfortunately. Well, that's a couple of cars that we thought were in solid contention for top spots. Now struggling to make their way back to the pits. Healy now down to 12th in place and just passed by Sebastian Vandel, our AM class leader. It's another car to give Vandel a break. Aaron Olber continues to try and pursue him for that AM class lead, but there's a bit of a gap on track and now a wounded pro class car to separate them for the time being.
So you can see Cartalone's brought it into the pits as well, so probably to get some damage fixed as much as anything, because he had Michael Healy pretty much stuck up against him. They almost interlock panels there. Surprised that Healy's able to continue on. As you said too, the AM leaders have Healy in between, so the gap between Vandel and Oliver around about 1.5 seconds. That's nothing at a track like Bathurst. That can change and ebb and flow at one corner, one mistake ahead, one missed apex, 1.5 seconds can go. So Aaron Oliver's still in the fight for the AM win, but Vandel already won 3 out of 3 so far this season. We're looking to make it 4 from 4.
That he will. Well, I think here's the reason why Michael Healy doesn't look like he's coming in anytime soon. Might be down in the straight line here, but it looks like he's got enough speed over the top to be able to just latch on to enough draft from Vandel, although looking at it here from the onboard angle, that doesn't look so promising as they come across McPhillamy Park here on lap number 10 of the race.
It's not too
Vandel,
bad.
he's just checking out now at this point. That's Healy here, maybe a miscalculation as to the damage extent, or really just trying to make sure he's inside the fuel window here.
I think it's more the pit window. Just make sure he gets to that window where he knows he can make it home, come in, use the fast repair. Each driver gets 2 fast repairs so they can come in and get them done. Use that then, but I don't think the car is as damaged as we may have thought. Look, there's a slight little bit of left hand there, maybe 5, 10%. It's not that bad.
And straight line speed doesn't look too shabby here. As you can see, the Mercedes of Aaron Oliver in the rear camera there wasn't gaining all that much in a straight line. Oh, meanwhile, a couple of cars that were fighting for positions inside the top 10. Not looking too healthy as Christopher Hen, Lachlan Capel bring it into the pit lane. And so does Michael Healy here. So he's now opting to pull out of that fight there, or he thinks he can make it home here with 18.5 on the clock. That is going to be a stretch.
That's 10 laps.
For a 36% tank. Might just, 10 laps here. At about 4 litres a lap for a GT3 car, depending on your exact model.
Well, how many laps did Connell do in that first stint?
Connell went until lap number 6. That's when he brought the car in, ahead of everyone else who came in on lap 5.
That's a lot of laps to do in comparison to what we've already done. As you can see, there's a slow car up Mountain Straight. Is that Dale Carpenter? Yep.
Oh dear.
It's like a flat tire.
That's not
Carpenter.
good because we've got 2x2 coming. Okay, thankfully Carpenter is off the track and out of the way because we've got 2x2 bump drafting with Matthew Cardellone trying to push, that'll be Michael Rosenblatt in the 55 along. And now Christopher Hand and Lachlan Capel come out of the pits here. So tracks are busy here as they make their way up the hill.
And Michael Healy's come out around about 4.5 seconds back from those guys. So still well and truly in possible contention. Interesting too, Michael Healy, 2 pit stops, used both of his fast repairs as it's on for the lead down Conrod Straight. Jack Wittes has got past Funslow and he's now fighting for the win. Or fighting for the lead, I should say.
Indeed, Wittes gets past there on Conrod Straight, so able to use the draft here to get past Merritt. 11 laps down, approaching the start of lap number 12. These guys, though, they're not showing any sign of coming in this time soon. I would think with a 36% fuel tank for these cars, we're looking at probably pitting around 15 minutes ago to be sure.
The next lap. We saw a few guys get to, Connell got to nearly 25 minutes to go, give or take. So that means that from 15, you're pretty close to making it. This is still going on.
Oh, hello.
Cardellone and Rosenblatt nearly bump wheels coming through the chase. Cardellone slots in behind. I must say, cool to see Rambo on the side of Rosenblatt's car. Not the sponsor I was expecting to see.
And Cardellone not too impressed, apparently. Which would be because one's an AM, one's a pro. Meanwhile, oh, dear me, the 43. That is currently in the hands of... 43 is in the hands of Mitchell Sparrow there. And he's copped a meatball for his efforts on that one there. That car now very much unhappy and desperately begging for a pit stop and fix. As we head side by side up the straightaway ahead of him, Lachlan Capel and Matthew Cardellone. Capel, though, opts to back out there and slot back into line.
Oh, Connell's in the
trouble!
wall.
Jeff Connell's found the fence. He trips up Ross Rizzo there. That's not helpful. Those guys now well behind. Oh, Connell, yep. Bring it down the hill there, but he's lost spots as a result. We need to jump to the virtual racing school replay to find out what happened there, Jay.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I thought he was going to hit the wall there. Coming up to the tree, through metal grate, still looks fine. Was there contact that caused it? There's a little bump there, so that could have put the rear out.
Yep.
You can see him actually have a wiggle through McPhillamy to try and work out where the control was with the car. On the brakes early, car's unsettled, won't stop, bang into the wall. And I tell you what, Ross Rizzo has done a great job to not end up getting taken out by that incident.
Very, very lucky man indeed. And Connell brings that McLaren straight down on the pit lane as a result. So, 6 lap stint done for him. And yeah, it's all it takes here with the concrete walls at the mountain.
See when he hit the wall there, how close it was to actually going and slamming into the side of Ross Rizzo. He is so lucky to get away with that. So is Jeff Connell, to be fair.
That he is indeed. Well, that will shake things up a little bit here. Start whittling down the number of drivers who will probably be in with a chance of winning here if the rest of the leaders can keep their noses clean. Connell's back out and away with a 7.5 second stationary second stop. So, yeah, as I thought, with the fuel tank the size that it is, I'm just trying to run the numbers here in my head. If a 50% tank in a GT3 race lasts you about half an hour, for reference, you're looking at probably... Actually, does 22 minutes check out? I think I need to do some
Hey,
like...
Jeff Connell, despite that incident, is still the lead car to have done the 2 stops.
Of course he is. Yes, indeed. And that will be because of everyone else that's gotten tripped up behind him as well.
Yep.
With Cardellone and Healy and Christopher Henn. Although I'm surprised to see Christopher Henn here. Because Christopher Henn and Lachlan Capel tangled off screen while we were watching something else. That's why he's ended up where he is. So yes, indeed, despite all of that, I would thoroughly expect now that Widdus, Merritt and Funslow, they all end up coming out relatively in clean air here. But, yes.
Rizzo versus Connell is going to be very, very close once Rizzo comes in. He needs to absolutely nail his pit stop, does Ross Rizzo, to have any chance at getting a podium.
Yes, he will, but that early pit stop from him on lap number 3 versus lap number 6 for Connell's original stop, I reckon, yeah, unless there's an absolutely monumental in-lap coming from Ross Rizzo. Speaking of which, that is his in-lap right there. So bang, into the pit lane he comes from behind Adam Funzo. 2:03.1, the in-lap for Rizzo, so that isn't too shabby at all, but Jeff Connell's now already into the depths of the chase, and I would wager that with a longer pit stop going to have to be coming here for the 784, as multiple other drivers, Aaron Oliver, Calix Poon, Brian Borg and Elliot Osborne will come into the lane. These guys should be here a little longer. Rizzo is still stationary. 9, 10, 11.5 seconds stopped, and by goes Jeff Connell. So indeed, the early pit stop from the master strategist that is Ross Rizzo, not working out in his favour here, but that is partly due to the way things unfold on track. So, yes, Connell still leads the drivers... No, sorry, he doesn't. Adam Funzo came out ahead of him, as I expected. But that gap isn't too big. One mistake from Funzo, and that could close massively here. And there's a car in between who needs to pit still as well, in the hands of Daniel Fleming, the number 44 Mercedes, Vodafone Mercedes AMG. As we look here at Aaron Oliver, he's still, well, he's down now 4th in class, but he is the first AM car to have pitted twice, so his progress here will be important to track as well. And now look here, Nick Wood, 2nd in the AM class, but yet to pit twice, based on the strategy that he's currently running. So he will have to come down the lane again. He's looking to try and chase down Daniel Cheney here for 7th outright, and has made good ground here so far, but how he goes here with a pit stop coming will make a bit of a difference.
Cheney and Wood both pretty much the biggest movers in the field. A couple of drivers that were right at the back of the field at the start of the race have made a couple more positions, but not many more. These two are both up 16 positions, but of course they do have to come in for that final stop. As into the lane comes John Merritt, and it's going to be interesting between he and Funslow.
That it is indeed. I think they will have him covered for now, but Funzo wasn't too far behind. It was a bit of a gap, but pardon me, we shall see what happens. Funzo around the final corner at Murray's. Merritt's away though from his box at the front of the lane, so out comes Merritt from the pits, relatively comfortably in front. Oh, using all of the track though on pit exit. That's what we would call pushing the limits, I would dare say, but within the limits he was, if only just. So John Merritt takes the net race lead. Now it's up to Jack Widdus. When does he come in? And he's got plenty of clear track across the top here. That Ferrari had a long first stop. Can he convert with a shorter final stop here to end this one? Looking at about 5 laps to go, or 5.5, sorry, from here. But just under 10 minutes on the clock now.
Sebastian Vandel has had an issue at the top of the
Yeah,
mountain.
That was a slow moving Vandel when I caught up with. Oh no, big loss for Sebastian Vandel. We'll have a look at it here on the Virtual Racing School replay. Comes up over the hill under the Fujitsu signs to set up for Metal Grade. And it's all come undone for our AM class leader. He's been basically untouchable, and the grass is not the place you want to go. But how's this?
Gets it straight back out there, nice and safe. We're going to stay on the replay because something's happened to Lachlan Capel as well on this lap. Remember, he was fighting in the back of that top 10 group we were watching earlier. But this is big because he's lost out big time, and that explains it.
Oh, just bit of aero wash from the traffic ahead, and that number 18 car for him.
Oh,
now,
look at the crabbing.
It's crabbing. It's meatballed. He's got to get that car back to the pits and get it fixed up if he wants to finish this one here, unfortunately. Race leader into the pit lane. Jack Wittes is already out and going again. 9.8 seconds stationary, matches John Merritt's pit time, and they're going to be basically line astern on the pit box, I think. Oh, pit exit. Wittes has gotten ahead, and he's gotten a gap to Merritt, but 1.4 seconds. That'll close as they make their way up the hill here on the outlap.
See what happens with Sebastian Vandel, who's still stopped. You've got a little bit to go down the lane. Aaron Oliver's coming down the front straight. This is actually going to be pretty close between these two here.
Yeah, well, Vandel's been pretty untouchable in the AM class so far, but Aaron Oliver's been given a second breathe into the fight here. 1.3, 1.4 on pit exit there, and you watch as the gap closes here with Vandel getting up to speed slower than the Mercedes is, having taken the normal track. So we will have to keep our eyes on that one here as Vandel gets back up to speed. And,
the other part to that too is one, Vandel's hyperheated the tyres, so the tyre life is going to be gone on them. Two, he's brought it into the pit, so the tyre life will then have to be recycled back through once again. This could be a really tough lap for Seb Vandel right here. He could lose all of that ground that he made up. He had a 4-second advantage not that long ago. Oliver could be back in this and potentially could steal the AM win away. Vandel's going to work really hard, or have to work really hard now to hold on to this.
That he will indeed, but looks to be getting up to speed nicely. He's made it back through over the top of the mountain, so it begins the descent through Skyline and the S's. Looks to be under control there, so based on the way he's going, Jay, I think it's going to take a mistake from Vandel to really change things there for him. Just stay on board with Aaron Oliver there for a moment, but flip up to Dennis Gaderick, who's now challenging Adam Funslow for a podium here in the overall divisions, as well as the pro division as well, but they've got Jeff Connell closing in on the pair of them both. And Ross Rizzo's not too far back for good measure as well, so this could easily become a 4-car fight for that final podium spot, with our front two drivers stabilising at about 1.3 seconds, the difference between them here at the moment.
If Jeff Connell can somehow find himself back on the podium after where he was with 18 or so minutes left on the clock, finding himself in the wall at Skyline, that's driver of the day material, because there's no way he should even be in with the contention of getting himself onto the podium. In saying that, here comes Dennis Gaderick to try and steal the podium away from Adam Funslow, and Jeff Connell's going to be the one to take advantage here.
Indeed, Funslow gives a lot of space to Gaderick as a result at Griffin's Bend, and Connell says, I don't need any further invitation. Straight up the inside he goes, so that's 2 spots lost for Funslow there. 5 minutes still on the clock, so maybe in with a chance of regathering and going at it once again. Meanwhile, just a little bit further down the road, Matthew Cartolone now has just Christopher Henn for company as they climb the hill here to fight over 8th spot. They are looking to try and catch up to Joshua Fitt, who's a next car ahead of them. Meanwhile, here's that battle of AM class cars. Well, sorry, it's actually one AM class car, and then a pro car in the hand. Yes, pro in the hands of Calix Poon, followed by another AM, which sounds a bit crazy given that going off of iRacing doesn't seem the case. But Brian Borg is not one that we've seen a lot of GT driving from. So, given the fact that AusPASS, for those of us or those of you watching who aren't familiar with the way the system works here in this series, the Pro-Am split is determined by a pre-season qualifying times. Once the returning drivers from last season are filtered out. Meanwhile, to the front of the field, just under 4 minutes on the clock there at the line for Jack Wittes. Starts lap number 18 of this race. We should be on track for a 20-lapper in that case, but it'll be pretty close here. We might only end up with 19, depending on the way iRacing flies it. Back to a virtual racing school replay, and looks like we're going to have some trouble, unfortunately, for the 55 of Michael Rosenblatt down the hill here.
Yeah, just big sideways moment and
Brakes, please.
Oh, I thought he was going to keep it out of the wall, but he did back into it in the end.
What you want to see, and then he's going to have to park it there, Michael. Park it there, Michael.
Oh, that's a scary rejoin.
Questionable rejoin of the day, brought to you by, unfortunately, the 55. Given the flow of cars coming through, that just needed to be parked up there. And, well, we were just talking about someone who probably shouldn't be on the podium in normal circumstances. Look who's made it to the podium, the number one of Jeff Connell.
And pulling away
his
too.
Mark here on the track, and yeah, that McLaren in his hands. Unlikely to catch, well, should be no earthly way he gets up to John Merritt for a second place, but looks to now have that P3 relatively secure here. Gaderick's not too far behind, but if anything, that McLaren is generally known for being a fast car in a straight line, and this is a track with two very long straightaways. We'll see what Gaderick can do here, but I get the feeling the answer is not a whole lot as they make their way down Conrod here on what might be the second last time. We will have to wait and see. It's going to be touch and go here at the line for the race leaders.
I think everyone will be hoping it's one to go when they cross the line. I don't think there'll be too many that'll be hoping there's two to go, because I reckon a lot of guys will be very, very marginal on fuel. We'll follow Jack Wittes and we'll see if we can see Barney waving his flag.
Less than 2 minutes to go here at the line.
Is he slowing down? Yeah, white flag.
He flicked across the track. That was a bit interesting, but yes, white flag is in the air from Barney the flag man. So 19 laps it will be, thanks to the pit stop systems here in this one. And we see here Gaderick half a second back from Jeff Connell. He's getting a bit of a slipstream, and the slipstream is working for him down the mountain on the chase at least, but through the corners.
Have a look who's catching these guys very, very quickly too. Ross Rizzo. We know that he's going to be good on fuel because he is the master of the fuel game. But last lap by, he was faster than everyone except for Jack Wittes on track.
Indeed, he was. And half a second up on Adam Funslow, over a second up on Dennis Gaderick due to the passing that was happening ahead. So it is going to take a Herculean effort here from Ross Rizzo to be able to get close enough to make something stick, I would suggest. But he's closing into the draft range, so any mistake from, well, any of his cars, but Funslow primarily, given that he's the first one up for Ross Rizzo. And that order there is certainly undecided. These guys here, I'm curious to see here, Gaderick holding around half a second over the top. That Mercedes has closed the gap. It was up to 0.6 at the beginning of Mountain Straight. So what has Dennis Gaderick got here through the S's and down the hill through the dipper? He's closed that gap again. 3.5 tenths now. So he's setting himself up now. It's the run into Forrest Elbow. We thought Connell had this job done, but
I wonder if he's short on fuel.
He's not quite done it. He gets a better drive off the corner, but watch this now. It holds at 3 or 38 hundredths of a second, and now it closes. 3 tenths. 2.5. 2. 1.5. It's going to be a monumental send from Gaderick. Connell to the middle of the track to defend. Can the over-under be achieved here? No, not at the chase. Oh, here we go. It's going to have to be a send. Jack Wittes to take the checkered flag, but please can we get back to the fight for P3? Connell was mid-track defending in the Murrays. Is the over-under here for Dennis Gaderick? No, unfortunately not. Connell's going to hold on to P3, but he did not have much left in it there in terms of defensive options. And Adam Funslow able to fend off. Charging Ross Rizzo. Meanwhile, change of position for AM place second. Vardell here is going to take the AM class win, but second place is certainly undecided. Brian Borg's gotten his way past Aaron Oliver here at the final, before the final corner. Crisscross possibly thought about by Oliver, but he's not going to be able to make it stick here. They're going to have to settle for second and third in class in that order. As we see here now, last couple of cars making their way down to the end of the lap here. Aaron Raccanello bought the 247. He's got Daniel Fleming behind. Pro versus Am fight, but overall still matters here for these guys as they come up through the chase. Fleming's not quite close enough. It's going to have to be a monumental send at Murray's. He's looking, but just a show of the nose before the braking zone. He tucks back in as a car brings it down onto the pit lane. Now, who is that?
That was Blake Urquhart. Now, the reason I'm tracking Brandon Levin here is I believe he's out of fuel. Yep, that was a big cough.
Well,
that was a fun race.
If it's going to cough on fuel,
that's the spot to do it.
Coughing it right at the line will do pretty nicely there, I would dare say. And it's now time to have a look at the race results there as we now finish up the first of our GT3 sprint rounds here. Jack Whittis takes the race win, having snuck up ahead there. John Merritt, a pretty comfortable gap of about 2 seconds there in the end of it all. Jeff Connell, after clipping the fence, top of the mountain, almost fencing Ross Rizzo by accident for good measure, able to get that car to the pits and get in for third place. Dennis Garrick just unable to beat him there, so fourth for him. Then it was Adam Funslow for fifth, Ross Rizzo for sixth, Joshua fifth for seventh, Matthew Carolone eighth, Christopher Henn ninth, and Michael Healy rounding out our top 10 all pro cars there. But first over the page is going to be Timothy Audi 11th and pro, but there we are, 12th place and first in the AM class. Sebastian Vondel once again rounding out a perfect start for him in the AM division. Head of Calix Poon, next of our pros, followed by Brian Borg, we saw there, just able to fend off Aaron Oliver for second and third in AM respectively. Then Daniel Cheney 16th outright ahead of Nick Wood and Elliot Osborne, rounding out top 5 in AM there, with Mitchell Sparrow and Nathan Moore rounding out the top 20 overall.
We go back to a couple of AM guys there with Richard Brookfield and Glenn Boyd. Good recovery from Glenn after not finishing the first race to get back to 22nd overall. Got Daniel Webster and Graham Smith, who did take 3 pit stops in the race, did Smith. Remember, he was involved in that issue right at the start of the race at the chase, at the exit of the chase. So he's recovered very, very well there. The 24th, 25th for Seeger with Moroz not far behind. Raccanello held off from Daniel Fleming at the end there. Sam Lehman in 29th position. Zach Nickel rounds out the top 30. From there we go back to Brandon Levin, Derek Audie, Lachlan Capel and Blake Urquhart, who drove it through the pit lane right at the end. And I actually think he got a post-race penalty from iRacing for driving through the pit lane on the last lap. Or may have had a black flag that he had to serve anyway. But either way, he's dropped back to 34th position. Michael Rosenblatt, the last car to finish on the lead lap, in 35th. Then Taylor Woe for everyone else. Daniel Hill, Chu Kang. Then we've got Sean Lacey, Wayne Losh, Jai Potts. Then over the page to the guys who are a long way down. Those being Phil Audie, Dale Carpenter, Jack Boyd, who was running second when he had an internet dropout and finishes 43rd in the end. Matthew Johnson, Richard Mayer, Liam Caplice and Luke Fitt didn't last very long, unfortunately, either. What a race that was. Got some guys in for a chat, though.
That we do indeed. First, going to have a chat to our race 2 winner there, Jack Whittis. Well done there, Jack, on getting through the field to make it up to the race win there in that second one. And in fact, makes it now another 2 race wins for you here in the Oz Pro-Am Sim Series for Season 6. That's a really good start to the season, all things considered. How are you getting it done here, I'd say?
Yeah, cheers. I was just trying to keep it clean the whole time and not make any mistakes and see where I ended up. But yeah, no, it worked out well.
That it did indeed, and probably keeping it clean is one of the best ways to get it done here, I'd say. Served up a bit of drama here, Bathurst did, in the mid-pack there, and a couple of moments behind you on track. But yeah, being out in front, looks like it was able to get you clear of the worst of it and just allow you to focus on your race and your strategy there.
Yeah, it definitely has its advantages being out the front there. That reverse top 10 was pretty tricky at the start, but yeah, luckily got through clean and yeah, kept it off the walls.
And then looking back to race 1 then earlier tonight as well, fighting there with Jack Boyd and Jeff Connell. Fortunately, we lost Jack there during the second race to an internet dropout, so unfortunately that hampered his chances of fighting with you and that front group to the end result. But when you're in that kind of three-way fight, and given it was you guys were really fighting over it despite it being the short race to set up for the main feature tonight. I guess, do you take a different approach into a short sprint like that when it's used to set up for a longer race, or do you try and approach them in similar ways in terms of like aiming for the best result you can?
I was aiming for the best result I could, but I wasn't too sure if I had to pit or not in that race, so I didn't really go too aggressive at the start. But once I knew I was going to make it to the end, I had a dig.
Sounds good there indeed. Well, before we let you go, Jack, a chance to say thanks to any sponsors or people who help you get it done here tonight.
Yeah, cheers to Commodore Wreckers, and also cheers to the family watching back home.
Oh, thank you very much there. Jack Wittes, 2 race wins for him tonight here in the Oz Pro-Am, so getting his season off to a flying start.
Cheers, boys.
And well done there to Jack. We'll bring in second place finisher now. That was John Merritt in that second race there. John, congratulations on making your way up there to second place.
Thanks,
maybe
Daniel.
Not quite the result perhaps you're hoping for in race 1, but you did improve from 10th on the grid to 8th in race 1 and then able to convert that reverse 10, which was a third place start, to second. I guess another person who's able to get to be at the front of that field there in the feature and keep the nose clean there after some stuff happened behind you.
Yeah, race 2 was a good look. Race 1, I had some commitments beforehand, so I was 2 minutes before quali into the server, and probably difference of cars I'd run makes it interesting. But race 2 it sort of came together. The more laps around here, the better.
Indeed, it's certainly a track you'll have had experience with before. I've seen you racing in things like the Bathurst 12-hour before, but nevertheless, yeah, it's always not the ideal preparation when you've got to fly in from something else. But well done in that case to be able to stick the car inside the top 10 in qualifying on a short notice and then convert solid result in the first one and then finish up with a second race. I guess
TCR to GT3.
And different cars for good measure, so that's certainly a style change there indeed. Well, I guess it's a good way to get your season off to a solid start here. I guess you're looking to the rest of the season. Have you got sort of any goals that you'd like to sort of set yourself here as we look forward?
Oh, mate, top 5 in this league. It's it's a very competitive league, so top 5 would be good. Whether I can commit all the time needed, time will tell. But that's probably the goal at this point. A couple of surprise podiums here and there, so this week's a good start. A good recovery from the wildcard round last week, I should say.
Indeed. Well, you're definitely a force to be reckoned with based on experience I've seen elsewhere in GT3 racing, but you are right in saying it's a competitive field. But nevertheless, you earned your spots here tonight, so doing a good job there to get this season underway. Just before we let you go, chance to say thanks to who gets it done for you, team sponsors and the like.
Oh, mate, a shout out to Pulse Tuning, Cito Riddell. He can't be here tonight and race. Echuca Toyota, I'd be remiss not to mention them. All the other series sponsors, obviously SimSpeed, Jay, yourself, Daniel, and Sam for all the hard work he puts in. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, John. Well done with the results tonight, and look forward to seeing you press on here for the rest of the Oz Pro-Am season number 6.
Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate it.
And there's second place for John Merritt. Now time to bring in the third place finisher, Jeff Connell. Well, Jeff, fighting there at the front of the field in race number 1, and then race 2, we thought almost came undone for you there, but strong recovery after the second pit stop to bring it home in third place. You had the pace tonight. It was just a matter of making sure you got the pace back on track once you had that moment there at the top of the mountain in race 2.
Yeah, that killed me. Like I thought I'd end up 8th or 10th after that. So pretty dumb mistake. But saying that, you're sort of on the edge every lap. So if I'd backed off every other lap, I would have been 2 tenths slower. So yeah, it's pushing pretty hard to try and keep up there tonight. Was struggling a bit down through the S's, and Wittes was just a bit faster, in race trim. So yeah, I was just driving the thing on the limit, and yeah, pretty surprised to get back to third. It was such a fun race. Had a few good battles, so yeah, it was good fun.
Talking about the competition here at the front of the field, you've obviously number 1 there, if I'm not mistaken, defending champion for the Pro Division. So certainly, is that putting any pressure on your back here, looking to convert again into another strong series result here?
No, not really. I think used up all my good luck winning last year. So no pressure. Just here to have fun, and that's why the reverse grid or reverse top 10 races are good. So yeah, probably less pressure, to be honest. Winning a couple of titles before, it means you can just go have some fun.
It's definitely an impressive outlook to have there. Well, given you got the pace clear, but you say there maybe just hoping to find a couple more tenths to get the race trim feeling a little bit more competitive compared to some of the other cars. Looking forward to the rest of the season, do you think there are any tracks that will maybe benefit you more than others, perhaps?
I got no idea. I don't know how we'll go at Imola next week. Yeah, I struggled there. If I had to pre-qualify there, I would have barely made pro, to be honest. So that might be a weak track, but I guess we'll see. You never know with these GT3 cars, and so many good drivers now in 6 or 7 different cars. So you've only got to be a tiny bit off, and these guys are so good. There'll be someone that'll jump in and beat you. So yeah, be good fun.
Very true indeed. Well, before we let you go, Jeff, is anyone who gets it done for you, given you are running the all black paint with not a lot to say, any chance to maybe see if anyone wants to sponsor you there, or are you running the privateer and not too fussed about that, I guess?
Yeah, no, that's pretty plain. So yeah, no sponsors. I'd love to have someone come on board and promote their business. So yeah, it'd be awesome to have some partners like that. Yeah, no, it's all right. Just doing my own thing for now, and still enjoying it anyway. But yeah, definitely welcome to some sponsors.
Well, there's the message, folks. If you're looking to get some airtime in a series here like the Oz Pro-Am, that number 1 of Jeff Connell is a good place to start looking. Well done, Jeff, and look forward to seeing you next week in Imola in that case.
Thanks, mate.
Well, that'll do us for the Pro Class interviews, but we've got one more driver to have a chat to. Backs up the Le Mans Wildcard with another pair of AM Class wins. Sebastian Vandel getting the job done here in the AM Class. Well done there. Solid improvement from your qualifying position to the Race 1 result, and then also securing that Race 1 result with another clean Race 2 here tonight.
Yeah, struggled a bit in qualifying, didn't get the best lap in and started a bit further back than I probably should have been, but worked our way through the field in the heat race, and just tried to stick with the front guys in the feature and just feel safe a bit.
Well, certainly put it to good use there tonight. We're giving it, you started back in 20th, which is about mid-pack here tonight. I guess, were there any sort of way you change the approach you take to the race, given that it did get a little bit crazy at turn 2, but that might have been just behind you, so you escaped the worst of it. I guess, does it change the way you sort of approach the first race in that case, because you want to try and get forward without being too dangerous and crazy?
Yeah, definitely. You just take a cautious and easy approach to the first 1 or 2 laps, and then you just try and once the field spreads out, you just try and make your way through and get a couple of positions.
Oh, you're certainly doing a good job of it here at the moment, and looking to forward to the rest of the season now. You've got 4 AM Class wins under the belt. I guess it sets you up with the perfect start to the season here, and it's not a super long calendar for the Oz Pro-Am season number 6. So I guess, would you be expecting from here on out to be able to hang on to the class lead and secure a class win at this stage?
I hope so, but there is some very quick guys in there that got caught up in a couple of incidents tonight. But yeah, fingers crossed we can hold on to it.
Fair enough indeed. It is going to be stiff competition, but looks like you've got the start you need. It's just I guess we'll wait and see then in that case. Before we let you go, Seb, chance to thank sponsors and anyone else who helps you get it done tonight.
Yeah, just a shout out to my team, Bathurst SimRacing, and the sponsors Goodyear, Rhino, Autocare, Real Sim Racing Australia, Racing Ears Custom Hearing Protection, and we support FU Suicide and hashtag No Social Hate. And shout out to you guys for putting on the stream. You're doing an awesome job. And shout out to my teammate Troy and his team, Blue Collar Autosport.
Appreciate it there, Seb. Well done there, and look forward to seeing your progress next week when the series heads to Imola.
Thank you. See you then.
Well there, Jay. That will wrap us up for interviews here tonight, as we now look forward to round number 3 of the AusPASS the Oz Pro-Am Actually, it's just AusPASS. What am I saying here? Getting myself completely crossed up. Well, we'll skip past that and just focus on the fact that we're heading to Imola for another sprint round next week, which means similar kind of strategies in play perhaps, but more action aplenty coming our way.
Yeah, and a bit of a change to the track since the last time a lot of the guys would have raced there as well, with the update that came about at the start of the iRacing season 12 weeks ago, with the off tracks and the curb usage being a little bit different. So a few guys may get caught out a little bit, especially if they don't practice a huge amount, thinking, oh, well, I've been there before, I know what to expect. So looking forward to seeing how it does play out, because it may be very different to what a lot of guys expect. It should be very, very interesting, and one of my favourite tracks on the iRacing service, so I can't wait to get there.
That it should deliver indeed. Well, we'll catch that next Thursday night for round 3 of the simrigs.com Oz Pro-Am Sim Series number 6. Also brought to us by Phoenix Smokers, Computer Technology Corporation, Palmer's Skincare, Echuca Toyota, and Index Designs. Big thanks to all of the partners there coming on board to help make the series possible. But until tomorrow night when SimSpeed returns for the final round of Fixed Indy Australia, or until any of the other broadcasts coming up here on SimSpeed TV, thank you all very much for watching. My name is Daniel Yeaman. It's been Jay Kennedy alongside me on comms and production. Hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. And until next time, take care, and it's bye for now.
This is fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top. Oh my God! Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?